Why, hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of She is Speed. My name is Lana Ruse, and I get to be your host for this lovely, lovely evening that we're going to have together. If you are brand new to the show, hey, welcome here. She is Speed is a show where we feature women in speedrunning who run games with female protagonists. And tonight is a show actually, all about animal protagonists. So it's going to be a super fun night. We have both Okami and 102 Dalmatians on the docket. But don't get too excited yet. Let me catch you up on what's been going on over here, okay? As you know, AGDQ just finished, but that's not where the fun ends. You have us here and also some more fun events coming up. A reminder that Unapologetically Black and Fast is coming up February 11th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune in for this celebration of Black joy in speedrunning. It is sure to be amazing. I love watching it every year. Also, a reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to press the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in watching our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, so that's all the announcements I have for you today. Let's start talking about what we have scheduled for tonight. Like I had said, first up on the docket, we have an Okami new game any percent run by Lego, and I'll let her explain it. Take it away.
Hey, I'm Lego, and yeah, I'm gonna be running Okami tonight. I have run this game a lot. It's one of my favorite games ever, by a lot. And this is a very exciting speedrun. There's a lot of cool tricks that we're gonna be able to show off, and a lot of fun stuff to do. So, yeah, and I'm also joined by my co-commentator if they want to introduce themselves.
Hello, this is Krino. Hi.
So yeah, that's Trino. They won't say it, but they have also run this game and pretty good at it. But for now, let's just get into the run. So time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so first of all, let's explain some of the reasons we are running this particular version. Really, there is one reason, which is that the 2017 HD re-releases of Okami all have cutscene skips available for new game. And so yeah, obviously being able to skip cutscenes is incredibly helpful for a category as long. Another thing that is going to be very important is in Okami, Amaterasu can get some movement speed modifiers where this is called dash. She can either be at walking speed, at green dash, or gold dash. Right now, those terms won't match up with the colors you see. You'll see either a trail of green grass or a trail of flowers, which right now the trail of flowers is the gold dash. And essentially, Lego is gonna be jumping in and out of cutscenes in order to preserve this dash. The way it works is the game only resets your dash to walking speed if you see the stopping animation. So by jumping in and out, we never have the stopping or start running animation, and that helps us a lot. Now,
So
oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, so we just got our first brush power, which is rejuvenation. So one of that is basically the main mechanic of this game that makes it pretty interesting. We, as the celestial god or goddess, sorry, this is She is Speed for a reason, has the power to basically draw onto the world, and which is a very cool mechanic. Now, the first power we got, Rejuvenation, is not particularly useful. We used it to restore the River of the Heavens right there, and we'll be using it in just a sec to restore a statue. But outside of that, I believe we should only be using it 1 or 2 more times throughout this entire run. So, just how it goes, not all brush powers are created equal. But coming up here, we will be able to get our second brush power. So, the second brush power, we're going to restore another constellation where the gods of various brush powers are hidden. And this one is much more useful. This is Power Slash. Power Slash basically allows us to draw in a straight line and just slash through things. This is going to be incredibly useful for multiple facets of the game. Yeah.
Okay, so right now we just saw our first fight skip. A lot of fight skip in this game are way smaller than they should be. So by taking a slightly different line from a straight line, we can just get around them. And that's another fight skip right there. We just skip both of the tutorial fights back to back. So one thing that you'll notice in terms of dash storage and is that when you come out of standstill, you have to restore the dash somehow, and in order to do that, you have to go airborne. So Lego will be attempting movement tech to instantly go from standstill to airborne and back to grounded, and running immediately most of the time.
Yeah, that's what that sort of flurry of red is when I come out of a cutscene. But right here we just sliced down the peach that allows us to somewhat restore Kamiki Village. We sort of just came out of the tutorial area of the game, and now we can move on. But Kamiki Village isn't quite restored yet. As you can see, the villages are still statues, and so we're going to need to do something about that. And so we're just going to go around talking to various of the villagers, the fastest ones we can talk to, in order to basically trigger something else so that we can actually progress onwards.
Yeah, so the way this works is you have to talk to 3 villagers in order for Ethan to realize that something is wrong. And after that, you can go all the way up to the highest point of the village, which Lego will do with this platforming trick that we call Puppy Thingy, because, you get up the thingy. And by getting up to this platform, we unlock the Sunrise Brush power. And right away, we go into our first fight against 3 green imps, which Lego will make short work of with just 2 power slashes. Oh, also, very important, incredibly important, this game has a bark button. And this is actually important for the speedrun, believe it or not, because mashing the bark button at the end of fights will make the fight result screen go away faster, saving a couple of fractions of a second every fight, and that stacks up. Now, this is the turning digging minigame. It's a mix of mashing, pathing, and timely power slashes to stun Mushi's mom. We do this in order to, dig 10 turnips and trigger a flag for a quest that will be important much later, but it's simply faster to get it out of the way right now. And right away, Lego is gonna get up this clip. Let's go. Lego's gonna get up here and grab this chest for our first consumable item of the game. That's an Exorcism Slip Small. And those are gonna be very good. You will see later. And now, this is one of the biggest sequence breaks of the game, or biggest glitches. That was a dialogue boost. It went by really fast because Lego makes everything looks easy, so of course she gets it first try. But what happened there is that Lego bonked into the rock in order to get a text box from Isun. And when you interrupt a text box or finish a text box in the air, you get a 1-frame window to get a grounded tackle in the air, allowing you to jump out of it and gain extra height, allowing us to skip the second half of Kamiki Village. And like that, we are into the first kind of mini dungeon, not really, of the game. So this is Hannah Valley. We are here to get the Bloom Brush power, which will allow us to bloom the Guardian saplings and clean the curse of the land. Here we run into our second fight of the game, the campfire fight. This fight has some intricacies that aren't really hard to execute, but they become important. So the way Lego is doing this is she will power slash everyone twice, then hit the red imps once each, and then power slash the red imps. This order is important because it allows us to have 3 full ink pots when all the enemies finish their death animations, and when you have full ink, the game gives you extra yen. And because this is a new game category, we start with 0 yen, and we want to hit certain breakpoints, and as such, we have to get as much money as possible, or which we will be doing here for marathon safety. Now, for the second fight, we are gonna be facing our first Jello Imp. Now, casually, Jello Imps are very annoying enemies because they just like digging around a lot, but we have an exorcism slip, which doesn't one-shot it, but it places it in a state where it is vulnerable to power slash. And when it is grayed out and vulnerable like that, it actually takes like 3/4 of its health from a single power slash.
And pretty importantly to note, if we didn't have an exorcism slip for that fight would take about 15 to 20 seconds longer. So that's why we went out of our way to grab that earlier. One other thing that I want to note is coming up here, there's going to be another cutscene, and a little bit earlier I'm going to do the same thing I do now, which is I'm not going to skip it, and I'm just going to fast text. And that's because pretty much only in Japanese, some cutscenes are just faster to fast text than to skip them because of the scroll animation that plays when you skip a cutscene. So that's just going to be one of those things we do sometimes.
And that saves, if you optimally do fast text instead of skipping on all the cutscenes that are faster, I believe it saves around 12 seconds through all of the run. Now, this is the first Susanoo QTE out of 2 that we will see. Now, I think on this one you can just go left on everything except the last one. Or, yeah, except the 2 last ones. And yeah, left, 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 right, right. Easy. Now, the hardest part of the game is pushing this ball. Balls in Okami are very bad. They have terrible physics, and they are incredibly unruly. But while this wasn't a perfect ball push, Lego does, as usual, make it look easy.
Ball pushing is by far one of the, I'd say one of the hardest parts of the game to be consistent at. It is very difficult to control that ball. It just kind of wants to fly everywhere. Sometimes Ami will basically just like clip straight through it. But by doing that, we're able to get our third brush power of the game, Bloom. And with that, we're going to be able to bloom Guardian Saplings, which in turn will help purify the land and get rid of curse zones that are around. There's also a couple of other side powers we get. One of them is the ability to draw trees, which casually is pretty much useless, but we'll see some speedrunning use later on. By the way, this is a fight skip for a Yellow refight. And the other power that I'm not going to show right here is the ability to restore curse zones, which actually is also going to become useful, even though that's normally just supposed to be a sort of side, just kind of a side minigame almost, separate from other stuff. Here's the campfire fight. There goes the campfire fight. Luckily, like at the beginning, some fights you really can just run right around without any issue. But that's the end of Valley. And since we got Bloom there, we're going to also be able to help out Shinshu Field. Right now there's that, curse zone, I think as Ori calls it, black caviar. But by blooming this tree, that curse zone will be removed. And we'll be able to explore Shinshu Field to our heart's content. We're speedrunning, so we won't, but we could, hypothetically.
One small fun fact is that the curse zone and the cleansed zone are actually entirely different maps. So even if you somehow manage to get through all of the curse zone and get to the place where a loading zone for a next area will be, you wouldn't be able to go through it. Well, actually, in the case of Shinshu Field, you will just glitch the game and kind of soft lock. But, well, first thing we're gonna do here in Shinshu Field is go to Mika. Now, the reason why we're going to Mika is because Mika's side quest has this very intrusive tutorial which just turns it into night. But that's very convenient for us because we want it to be night in order to go and meet Tama. Tama is a fireworks maker who is nocturnal, so he doesn't have, like, the door to his home is always closed at night, during the day. So we can only meet Tama at night. This side quest conveniently makes it night for us, and we just go and swim all the way to Tama's house after this. Oh, and of course, Lego knows Japanese. These names are actually randomized every run, like which is the one you get out of the 5. So Lego had to learn Japanese for the purpose of running this game in the optimal language.
Yep, it's an arduous task, but you know it's worth it for the minuscule time save. That's how speedrunning goes. Or maybe I just like memorize 5 symbols and just go off of that. We have another fight here. This is the dead fish. It is incredibly weak. We can just power slash it 3 times and take it out along with the green imps as well, and that just ends this fight rather abruptly. Oh, this is Tama. I didn't mean to bite him there, but we want to talk to him, and after talking to him 3 times, we'll finally get him to talk about his pyro maniac tendencies, and in the process unlock another brush power. This is Cherry Bomb, and is one of the best powers in the game because it just lets us draw bombs, which is a little odd. It's not a very nature-y power, but you do get to draw bombs, which is just kind of fun.
And as we mentioned earlier, yen routing and having safety for the amount of yen we have is very important. So we're gonna go ahead and grab this treasure to sell later that was revealed by the tutorial Cherry Bomb, which is just very convenient for us. It's right there. Why not just grab it?
So at this point, we're intended to go back to Kamiki Village and get another brush power there, Lily Pad, which allows us to cross bodies of water, say like this one right over here. But as it turns out, we don't actually need Lily Pad. There aren't that many bodies of water in the game, and so there's really no need for us to get it in the future. Right here, they want us to jump out of the water, which is normally impossible. You can only really swim through it. But there's a glitch in the game where by going into a corner, we pop out of the water, and that allows us to just skip Lily Pad entirely and head on to the next area.
Yeah, if you hadn't noticed from the fact that we skipped the entirety, well, not the entirety, but half of Kamiki Village, and now we're skipping the trip back to get Lillipad, we're gonna be sequence breaking a lot. Like, a lot. And that's gonna be really fun. Now we get into Agatha Forest, we bloom the sapling, and the game intends you to go out the same way through the tunnel and have your first encounter with Waka. Well, fortunately, because of the things we have to go and move around, because we do have a certain checklists of not so obvious things we have to do here, that's slow. So instead, we're just gonna do this.
No,
now,
that was dope.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, well, I messed it up.
more time to explain it.
Yeah.
So this is a brush adventure. By doing certain things, we can break out the brush camera from the restrictions it has from staying close to where you started. And that's particularly important because we can break it out of bounds and just move it whatever we want, essentially, with some restrictions. And why is that useful? Because a lot of things you can do with brushing will just assume Ami is right next to it and just warp you. So thereby blooming this cursed patch that is all the way out there, we can go to it. And the reason why it saves time is also because it saves us time in movement later, because that is also right next to fast travel point that we will want to use later, and by going through there we unlock it automatically. Now Lego is pushing this cabbage up the hill. This cabbage will start a cutscene with Sleepy. It starts the first part of the Sleepy side quest. And we're gonna abuse that in order to do a trick, hopefully. This is Havlu Skip, discovered by community member Havlu, where Lego is placing that cabbage there so that when the torch respawns, it will push that cabbage into the trigger that starts the Sleepy cutscene. And now Lego is...
Alright. I failed the trick, which is a little sad. That's okay.
That is really sad.
This is a one-time only trick, which is a little sad. So I cannot successfully do it. Ideally, this would have let us cross the Agata River through some cutscene shenanigans. But sadly, I will not get to show that off here. But luckily, I picked up Sunrise. Sunrise is not actually normally needed in order to beat the game, and for world record runs, I wouldn't have it. But I picked it up here because if I did fail this trick, like I did, it is a necessary backup for what I'm going to do next. So first, I'll finish off this trick, and I'll bloom this curse patch over here, which ideally we would have basically stacked this with another trick, but that's fine. But we're not done with tricks yet, so we're on a slightly different route, but losing a trick only lost us maybe a minute or so, nothing too big. Next, we're going to go into Pseudo Ruins by just jumping.
You just jump into a tree, and it just barely pushes you into the loading zone. And right away, we are just gonna go around and skip the cutscene trigger for the big intro cutscene. It's unskippable. One thing that we have not mentioned is that cutscenes are generally only skippable until there is text on screen. So the big intro camera pan cutscenes that have no text are unskippable. And Lego just gives me no time to explain blockhead clip. Okay. That is a hard trick, or rather, not hard. It is very inconsistent, I will say. Is more appropriate. But it abuses the same mechanic that we used to clip into Tsuda to clip into blockhead, except it's a lot more finicky and hard to make work. And yeah, of course, Lego gets it first try, and that skips half of Tsuda Ruins. Really, we're only gonna be doing one run of Pseudo Ruins.
Yeah. One thing to note is the reason why Sunrise was necessary is not for all the reasons you would expect it to be, like all the times we draw Sunrise throughout the game. That bridge, if you don't have Sunrise, is just not restorable. And because of that, if I didn't have Sunrise, I actually wouldn't be able to finish this dungeon. So that's why I had to pick up Sunrise as a backup measure. During the normal route, I would have had double jump by this point, and would actually be able to use that in order to bypass the bridge.
And now this is the triple gate room. These are a series of pre-fights composed of these. First of all, this first one with 2 red imps and 1 bot ogre. This is the first bot ogre we see. You're supposed to get to see your first one way earlier in this dungeon and get a big cutscene introducing the enemy, but you know, of course, we skip that half of the dungeon, so we don't get its sweet cutscene. And this is the first Jello Wimp we see since we got Cherry Bomb. And with Cherry Bomb, Jello Wimps are pushovers. We can blot them with ink, making them vulnerable. Then hitting them with a Cherry Bomb once in that state will have them go into the knockdown, grayed out state that the Exorcism Slip did earlier. And at that point, we can just hit it with 1 Divine Instrument attack and then Power Slash it to kill it. Now, after taking... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'm doing a sort of mini brush adventure here, and this is just to... Oh, wait, no, I did things wrong. First, I draw the sun, obviously. That's what I'm supposed to do here.
Yeah, you're...
I forgot. You get spawned at the same spot after defeating all 3 gates and after this cutscene, and I just forgot where to go here. Doing this cutscene will spawn in these pots where you're supposed to jump up the mushrooms and go all the way around to go destroy them, but we can do a mini brush adventure, sort of, by just bonking over here, getting as much height as we can, and then power slashing them from right here. If I get them all first try, very nice. So that purifies Pseudo Ruins to some extent, but we haven't done quite everything here yet. The water is now actual water and no longer poison. But in order to cross the Agata River, because I failed that trick earlier, we still have a lot more to do. First, I'm going to go down and get a brush power, and then I'm going to need to go and defeat the boss of the dungeon.
Yeah, one bright side of this alternative routing that we have to do because we failed the trick to skip the river is that we get to see some cool stuff here in Suta Ruins. The boss fight isn't the cool part. You will see what I mean. But yeah, here we come into this room, we bloom the 3 curse patches, and that ends up revealing a constellation for an extra brush power. This room you can technically sort of access through a brush adventure earlier, but the curse patches aren't enabled until you cleanse the water. So that's why we have to go all the way there and cleanse the water. So that's in order to get Vine. And now this is another brush adventure. This is called Cookie Clip because it was discovered by Giant Cookie Jar. Now, we do this brush adventure in order to be able to use this vine blossom while Amaterasu is under this platform. And by doing that, we can clip into that and go out of bounds, then use the center of the room vine blossom in order to move us just over this room that's under the vine room. Now, this is our first instance of a sort of interior clip where the interiors of maps are stored under the map. And right now, the chamber leading into the boss room is conveniently right under the vine chamber. So that allows us to get into the Spider Queen room early. And that doesn't save that much time, but it is a lot because it saves the time of going all the way up the main room and some cutscenes. Now, Spider Queen is a pretty easy fight. Lego just has to bind 2 of these blossoms to Spider Queen's tail, opening her up, and just power slashing all the ice a couple of times. Yeah, conveniently save the ink upgrade for this moment in order to use that to restore ink. And that's Spider Queen.
Yeah, I do want to say Cookie Clip. In my practice runs up till now, I have gotten HVS, the trick I failed earlier, every time, and was not expecting to fail it. And so I haven't actually practiced Cookie Clip at all. It's a pretty hard trick, so I'm very happy I got that on the first try. Was not actually expecting to get it first try, so very happy about that.
Yeah, a lot of these tricks Lego is gonna make look way easier than they actually are. Cookie Clip is one of them. Cookie Clip is really hard, but built different. Well, now the reason why we needed to go and do all that is to trigger this minigame. So this is the lock minigame. We actually know that the first Vine Blossom is gonna show up at 152 on the timer for the minigame, and after that we just sort of know the timing for how soon blossoms are gonna come up.
So the way this game works is the RNG is basically that there isn't any real RNG to it. Rather, depending on if you hit or miss one of the blossoms, the pattern will change. But as long as you just get every single one that comes past you, the pattern will always be the same. So I managed to get them all as they came by, so was the pattern that I know really well. And that takes us to Taka Pass, which, as we can see, is cursed. Which, is a bit of a problem, so we'll have to bloom it. The tree is actually right above us and to our right, but we can't bloom it quite yet, even with the brush adventure, which is a little sad. I'm also going to be buying some stuff here. I'm going to be buying 4 meat bags for a quest later, as well as 3 steel fist sake. Steel fist sake is an incredibly potent weapon. a very powerful battle item, and we're going to be using a fair bit of it to just try to blow past bosses as fast as we can. So coming up here is a pseudo boss fight where I'll get to immediately show that off. This is Waka. I'm going to use my Steel Fist Sake. I'm going to draw a Cherry Bomb. It'll blow up, and by doing the Cherry Bomb back there immediately, Waka will just walk forward slowly into each and every Cherry Bomb I draw, and after just 4 Cherry Bombs, combined with Steel Fist Sake, a sort of, boss fight just goes down incredibly easily. Cherry Bombs are very powerful for a lot of fights in this game, and Steel Fist Sake, well, it doesn't, it's mainly meant to just buff the power of your regular weapon. It, for some reason, also doubles the power of Cherry Bombs, which is just super nice and makes things way better. It doesn't buff the power of any other brush powers, but Cherry Bombs end up being pretty much our best weapon for most of the game.
Yeah, and the reason why we did all that is because blooming this Guardian Sapling actually is locked behind you having fought Waka down there. So yeah, we have to go all the way in there in order to make this bloomable. And right away, after cleansing Taka Pass, we're gonna go and fill our checklist for stuff we want to do here. First of all, we're gonna be doing a bit of a mini game with the moles. This is gonna be a surprise tool that will help us later. Yeah, a lot of things aren't really things that we're gonna be using right away, things that we're getting, but they will be very useful later, I promise. But yeah, we're coming in here, and this is a mini game that is really annoying when you're playing it casually, because it feels like they just go to random places, and it is RNG, the direction they decide to pick, but by looking at the trails in the ground, you can most of the time tell where they are going. They have a sort of algorithm of how they swap directions and whatnot. So if you aren't unlucky and you are paying attention, you can actually know where they're going and move preemptively, which is how LEGO can beat it easily in 3 cycles.
So by defeating the moles minigame, they gave us a golden teacup, which we bring back to that man over there who wanted the teacup that they stole from him, and in return gives us a golden mushroom, which for now is just a golden mushroom that sits in our inventory and does nothing. But, as Pino said, it is a surprise tool that will help us later.
Now we're gonna go into another Devil Gate, like the ones we saw in Cita Ruins. There's a lot of these that we're gonna be doing for the exact, well, a lot really, just 2. Actually, this is the first one of the 2 that we're gonna doing for the exact same reason, and that is that these Devil Gates will unlock fast travel spots when we do them. And this one is actually required in order, well, it is not required because we already have another fast travel spot at least, but that one will be really slow, and I'll explain why later. But, you know, now we will be supposed to go up into Kusa Village, start the quest to find the Setami Cunning Warriors, but, you know, we don't really have time for that right now. We are just gonna go straight into the Sasa Sanctuary. Now, casually, to enter Sasa Sanctuary, you will need to do a bit of a side quest where you rescue Chun, the daughter of the boss of the Sparrow clan, from the Cutters, but that side quest actually requires to be night. And even if we did all of the things we could do before it turned into night, by the time we were done doing everything we could, it would still need 2 minutes. And now this is early Sasa Sanctuary. This is probably the most inconsistent and finicky trick of all the run, because the thing LEGO is trying to do is to follow in what is a seam, which is the essentially 1 pixel wide place where 2 polygons of collision meet. And of course, she does it like third try.
Pretty good. Pretty
And
good. That trick can sometimes take me like 8 tries to get or more. It can be a bit unlucky. But by doing that, we're able to fall inside of the interior, sort of like we did earlier with Pseudo Ruins. So all the things are stored underneath the ground, and so by just falling, we can eventually get to them and bypass the gate.
and this is the main reason we are coming here into Sessa Sanctuary. We're coming here to fix up this hot spring. We're just really nice and wanted people to be able to pick bats, you know? And there is a very particular route that LEGO is going for here in order to make it as fast as possible. I was thinking you weren't gonna be able to get it because you wasted an extra ink pod, but I forgot you actually did. You actually got extra ink.
Yep,
So,
it worked out.
Yeah. But yeah, Lego is gonna grab this safety gen, which is gonna get her. Well, I think was that safety gen necessary? Well,
Probably
it doesn't
not.
matter.
I'm just
Yeah.
grabbing extra yen because that basically costs like half a second to grab, and I'd rather make sure I don't run out of yen. Be a bit of a bummer.
Well, the real reason why we were fixing the hot spring is not because we're good people. Like everything, we're only here to get what we need and not really to be helpful. So, fixing the hot spring gets us the water spout rush power, which allows us to both draw lines from bodies of water to take that water to where we want it to be, or draw straight lines up on these puddles that we see with upwards thingies flowing out of them to do pillars of water that allows us to get up to higher places.
I think thingies is the right word. I think that
Yes.
describes it perfectly.
Yes, it is a great word.
So coming up here, we're going to talk to Ty real quick because Ty is crying, and then Ty, oh, what is this? There's a thing floating in front of us. This is the canine tracker, and because we're doing things out of order, the game assumes we have an item that we don't actually have yet, which is rather nice for us. The canine tracker allows us to find dogs like this one, who's hiding inside of a bamboo. I don't know how you do that, but you know, good for them. And this is our first dog fight, which, you know, Krino, take it away.
Yeah, so this is Take. Take is a bit of a not good dog, and we would really hope for him to behave, so if you can pray for RNG, that would be great.
That was good. That was good RNG.
Oh, wow. That was beautiful. Yeah, Take likes running around a lot. Well, jumping around, rather. And the jumps actually can go anywhere. There's no way to tell where he's gonna land until he does. And one of the disadvantages of Cherry Bomb is that it has two ways of blowing up, and that is if it's in contact with a destroyable object or an enemy, or if it runs out of time. And if Take is jumping around and not touching the cherry bomb, we just lose time because we can only have one active cherry bomb at a time. And it can make it really annoying, but you know, he behaved. And coming out after beating Take makes Mr. Babu give us a mermaid coin and unlock the mermaid spring fast travel mechanic. And that's why it was important to get that Devil Gate before coming in here, because otherwise we would have to fast travel to Agatha Forest and then have to walk all the way back around here.
Yeah, and actually, it's even more important than that. Fast travel in general. If we weren't given fast travel there is no way out of Sassa Sanctuary because we broke in illegally. So we would have actually been completely soft locked if not for the game generously giving us a way out.
We do a lot of breaking and entering instead of helping people here, because you know a lot of these things have the option of helping people and they will let you in, but instead we just go in there. And now we are getting into Kusa Village. Very neat. So what we're gonna be doing here in Kusa Village is, first of all, we're gonna do a bit of shopping.
Yeah, so because the route changed, I actually need some different items here. So I was getting rid of an extra feed bag I had that we didn't end up needing because I failed HPS, as well as selling an item we were supposed to sell earlier. And I also bought a medium exodus slip to help with this upcoming fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we right now, as you can see, our ink is draining slowly, and as part of this effect, we also just can't use brush powers, which is pretty bad because that's our only combat tool. That is the golden mushroom. I don't need to use that. But by using the X-Men slip, we pretty much just destroy these enemies incredibly quickly and end this fight very fast. Without an X-Men slip, that fight takes a long time. So we would have to individually go and beat up the enemies one by one.
Yeah, so beating that fight frees Priestess Fuse of her cursed state, which in turn half cleanses the curse of Kusa Village. At least now we aren't incredibly cursed and unable to use brush power and have our ink drained, but Kusa Village is still in this very weird spot where the wind is not blowing. And this is supposed to be the place of the wind and whatnot. So in order to help the winds blow again, we are tasked with finding the Satami Cannon Warriors. Of we are aware, four are inside Kusa Village right now. So we're gonna go ahead and find 3 of them actually. So one really cool thing is the game doesn't actually count for the Cannon Warriors you have found inside the village. It only counts, well, it actually counts the Cannon Warriors you have met in total. And for that reason, it actually counts Take. So even though we should have to find 4 Cannon Warriors, since we have met Take, we only have to find 3 here in order for the counter to get to 4 and progress the quest. And this is Shin Warp, a small brush adventure to do a warp using a curse patch and meet Shin faster, which is our 3rd Cannon Warrior here in Kusa Village.
Yep, and so after Shin says some things, Isun's like, oh, we found all 4 dogs. Maybe you should head back to Princess Fuse. And so that's exactly what we'll do. The 4th dog is right up there, and we could go get them since we already have Vine. But it's not the fastest way to do things. We will need to feed that dog. Eventually, we'll need to meet all 8 dogs that there are total. And because of that, we will have to feed them. But first, we have to take out Tay here. So Tay is the intro dogfight, and is not it is definitely can be mean, but nicely only takes 2 cherry bombs instead of 3 like he does. So right here is an example of Tay being mean, where Tay uses an armored attack that just cherry bombs can't do anything to. And while it is a little mean, by the end of it, he's still vulnerable, and so we're able to end it pretty quickly. Just 2 cherry bombs to take out Tay.
Yeah, and now we're gonna do a bit of glitching. We do a little glitching over here. So we were supposed to feed these dogs earlier. So since they are in Kusa Village, the game is like, oh, if you fed them in Kusa Village, they must be over here. So it just puts us there, which saves a bit of time in movement, and in the world record route that doesn't have Vine at this point actually allows us to feed them, because we wouldn't be able to get to them in that cave otherwise. And that's called Beat Warp. Just a great name. And now we're gonna be doing a bit of running. And what we are supposed to do, or expected to do by the game, which if you haven't caught on whenever I say that, is because we're gonna do something else, is to go and find the rest of the dogs, then get into Gale Shrine, fight Crimson Helm, then start the whole Moon Cave and fight Orochi sequence. And only after that, we are expected to come over here to the city checkpoint. Because after Moon Cave, we will have the Inferno brush power, that's a fire brush power. And we will use that to make Joichi over here, one of the soldiers here who's just shooting arrows. We will use the Inferno brush power to make him commit a war crime and lower the bridge. But instead, we can keep Yoichi a free man who hasn't committed any war crimes by doing city checkpoint skip. So this starts out by building Gold Dash and then jump down into the river. You can just barely make it all the way to this rock. And here we can get that glitchy corner jump to get up here. We can climb up the rock, and at the top of the rock, there's a sweet spot where you can get a landing. Not like that. And that landing will also push you a bit and give you a bit of momentum, so you can do a sliding ground tackle into a wall jump, into an air tackle bounce, and that was essentially first try. Beautiful. I will be saying this a lot. I have been saying this a lot. That is a lot harder than it seems. The first time I did it, it took me 9 hours to get it once. Is what I will say.
It took me 6 hours to get it once, and it takes a lot longer to get it consistent. A lot of these tricks, they are very hard to get, but they're also very fun to master, which is part of why I love running this game so much. So coming up here, we are going to be doing another brush adventure. This one allows us to bypass a sort of puzzle where we're meant to drag water through various puddles, ponds up to the top. But by glitching the camera out of bounds, we can just drag it straight from the bottom to the top. We also have walking while talking because of this bug. Nothing we can really do with that, but we can like open the map and spin around while waiting for that cutscene to go through. And with that, we're able to bloom Ryushima Coast. Oh, and I also didn't mention that we did run through the curse zone to get past a fight. Just one of many fairly trivial fight skips where you just kind of run around them because they didn't expect you to not run exactly where they wanted you to. But with that, we've bloomed Ryushima and are going to be heading over this way. We're supposed to go to the dojo now. Well, that's where we want to go. But that's all the way out at sea. It takes a little bit to get to. So we're gonna take an alternative route. If I can get this. There we go. There's a little tiny, eeny weeny gap there, and we can just squeeze through and fall out of bounds. And by getting out of bounds, we can go and land inside of the dojo straight away, like we did in Sasso Sanctuary and Suda Ruins. And now that we're at the dojo, we can buy double jump. So this is what I needed that money for. You need 20,000 yen in order to jump twice. And considering all the stuff that we've been able to do with just one jump, I'm sure you can imagine there's a lot more that we're able to do with two. So that's dojo clip. But from here, we're just going to be running out of the dojo, and our next destination is Seion City, which is the capital of Nippon. If we had been talking around a bit, we might have actually heard that Nippon is not in a good place right now. They have a sort of pandemic of their own going on, and it's not good. It's not good. So they need a lot of help, and that sort of is the next story arc of the game. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of the spoiler here. We're not going to do that story arc. We're just going to completely skip it. Like with City Checkpoint, where we're actually skipping a whole part of the first arc of the game, we're going to be skipping this too. Oh, that's rough. All right, so I missed another skip here. Ume skip. This isn't too long of a fight, but it does have a cutscene with it and all of this other stuff, so just a little bit of time lost to miss the skip, but it's fine. But from here, we're going to head into Seion City, like I said.
Yeah, and once we get into Seion, we will get to display one of the great powers of interior clipping. So the reason why we come to Seion is, if, again, you haven't caught on, is not to help people, but to get stuff we need. And what do we need from Seion? We need the Fire Burst brush power. One problem that we would run into in the late game is that we need some source of fire, and since we skip the Inferno brush power, we are instead going to get its upgrade. which you can just get without having the base power, which is just great because the game doesn't consider it an upgrade. So by going out of bounds with some clever platforming, courtesy of double jump, we can get an interior clip and land into Yama's restaurant that doesn't actually exist in this cursed state of the map. It only exists after you do the entire first half of the second major arc of the game. But yeah, we can just get into it with interior clip and get what we need. And here is where our surprise tool comes in handy. We are gonna use the golden mushroom to hand it to Yama, who will cook food so good that it has a gut in it.
Yeah, and this really is very nice. Rush powers are stored separately in the game, the upgrade and the original, so the game has no problem giving us the upgrade. But as you can see when we leave here, we're actually placed directly in this curse zone, where the restaurant would be accessible after we purify the city, but we just get it right now. And at this point, I'm just gonna leave. Like I mentioned, we're not gonna be helping out these people. They'll be okay. You know, it's fine, and we're just gonna move on. And so, to do this, we have another trick up our sleeve. Karino, if you want to explain.
Yeah, so this is Toaster. The actual full legal name will be Ryoshima Gateskip, but for reasons that are way too much of like 3 terrible puns compounded, this is called the Toaster. So, trick. Okay.
You get more time to explain.
Sorry for celebrating this, but you had to fail something sometime. And yeah, this trick is incredibly hard, arguably the hardest trick in the game. And even though it might look kind of simple, the thing is, Lego is jumping on some, or running on and landing on some out-of-bounds collision that disables your jump button while you are over it. So she has to maneuver it carefully by doing sliding ground tackles in order to weave in and out of these spots where she can land but not jump, and spots where she's just airborne but able to jump. And by doing that, weaving in and out a couple of times, we can get into North Ryoshima Coast early.
Yeah, that trick is very hard, and is actually one of many discoveries that were only really found in the past 2 years or so. A lot of the tricks you're seeing here are pretty recent. It wasn't too long ago that the times were more around 2.5 or 3 hours long. But at this point, there are a lot of tough tricks that allow us to save a lot of time. Ooh. Here I'm just going to be buying some stuff. I'm going to be buying 4 mermaid coins, non-action slip, and some steelfish sake. And from here, when we're here, we're supposed to be doing a whole bunch of stuff, and we'll get to that later. But for now, it's time to finish up some of the stuff in the first arc that we sort of skipped out on. So one of those things is the dog quest. We started it, we've done a lot of it, but there's still 2 more dogs that we have to go and fight. So that is that's what we need to go back and do right now, is go finish up the dog quest and parts of the first arc of the game that we still really do care about.
Yeah, we're gonna be going into a bit of a lull in terms of there aren't gonna be that many tricks or sequence breaks in this part. We're just doing things as intended for a bit, except for
it's sad.
Yeah,
there will be a little bit of unintended stuff, but nothing too dramatic like we've had.
Yeah.
Right here, we're just doing another QTE with Susano. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, and very cute compact. Well, Susano is like here fighting to protect Kushi from these imps, and the characters that show up over the imps when you slash them end up writing out "I love you, Kushi," which is just incredibly cute.
And so over here, we're going to find Kokari, who is sort of our boy fisherman. He's the one who helped us cross the Agata River earlier with that log bridge. And we were supposed to do something else with him. We were supposed to do a fishing minigame with him earlier, but we skipped that when we clicked directly into Suda Ruins. And because of this fishing minigame, which is intended, there's supposed to be 2 total, is a little bugged. So on the outset, we talked to him, and it was all the dialogue and stuff you'd expect for the second minigame. But now that we're in here, we're actually doing the first minigame. So we got some tutorial dialogue on how to do the fishing minigame. And as well, the final fish that we need to catch, the whopper, will not show up, and instead we will get the salmon from the first minigame. So, just some interesting bugs. They don't really have too much of an effect on this run. Not a big deal, but it is just one of those things. So here I'll be catching the salmon, and there is a little bit of time save, I guess, because the salmon only takes 1 power slash to take out, but the whopper would take 2. So when you save a tiny amount of time, pretty much incidentally.
And that's a whopper of a salmon.
Shoutouts to Kinnan.
Shoutouts to Kenan. And yeah, as Lego was saying, even though we did the first fishing minigame, technically, we are getting the rewards for the second fishing minigame. Very importantly, we are meeting... What is their actual name? Tsukigami? Maybe? I know Outright knows this. I wish I knew.
I feel like a fake fan right now.
Yeah, but you know, Year of the Rabbit, let's go. And we are gonna go into our second to last dogfight. This is Ume. Ume is a bit of a punching bag. He just sits there, and unless you mess up, he will really just sit there and tank 3 cherry bombs and just be really nice. And if you are paying attention, you'll notice that Lego actually has the key to the ruins, which is, you know, just entirely useless for us. We don't ever need it. Actually, if we were to go like on the world record route, this is the point where we will be entering Suta Ruins. And because opening the door to Suta Ruins has an unskippable part to the cutscene because it has no text, which is important to mention. Cutscenes are only skippable until text shows up. So since that cutscene doesn't have text until very late into it, opening the gate is very slow. So we would actually just throw the key away and get in through the clip instead of using the key. So we really don't like that key at all. It is completely useless and even inconvenient to us. But now we are heading back to Kamiki Village for the first time. And I mean, I assume they're doing great. They haven't asked for help or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fine.
They must.
In
They
fact,
must have years to come.
actually, would you look at this? They got rid of the boulder on their own. Nice job.
Oh, isn't that great?
It's pretty incredible. So this is actually because there's 2 Kamiki villages. Once you start the dog quest, Kamiki is replaced with a second village. And a lot of some of the stuff that you would have done during that first part just kind of automatically happens. Which is actually very important for the normal world record route, since we normally wouldn't have actually helped Kamiki at all, and they would have still been statues if this weren't the case. We have our final dogfight here. This is Hayabusa. Say hi to Busa. Here we're just going to, once again, draw some cherry bombs. I used the grass patch there because drawing bombs in grass causes them to immediately explode. So it basically just acts like a free hit for us. The range with which a cherry bomb will automatically explode is very tiny, but its actual hitbox is very big. So if we can get it to explode through other ways, it's pretty much always better. But that's the last dogfight. Dogfights in this run went very well. Sometimes they can go a bit sideways, but they went very nicely here.
Yeah, dogfights are really probably the biggest source of RNG in the run. At least when you compound them. So yeah, they all played nice. It's very nice. So yeah, now that we found all 8 of the Satomi Canning Warriors, we are gonna be heading back to Kusa to complete the quest that we were doing that for. So, what the reason why we have to find all of the Canning Warriors is in order to get into the Gale Shrine. But let's talk about this game first. So here we're gonna meet another Jello Imp, which we already know how to deal with, and now Lego is preemptively laying this cherry bomb in order to hit these 2 green imps. The death animation for green imps when they die from cherry bombs is instantaneous. Because, you know, they're just being eviscerated by explosives. You would expect things will die instantaneously from that. And that's important because in fights that are like this in waves, the consequent waves don't spawn when the enemies die, they spawn when they finish their death animation. So speeding up the death animation of enemies actually speeds up fights way more than you think. So that's a really solid time save. And yeah, we're now climbing the way up to Kusa Village. We are gonna be meeting Priestess Fuse, and she's gonna give us the power of the Satomi Canning Warriors. And that technically, we have a way to access Gale Shrine early, even in New Game. The way, like the method to enter Gale Shrine early is actually used in New Game Plus speedruns. But that's because New Game Plus has a very cool infinite jump glitch that we do not have. So in order to execute such a method in New Game, it's considered test only, essentially. It requires, I believe, 5 to 7. Lego will know better, probably.
Yeah, that's
perfect
about right.
inputs.
That's about right.
Yeah. So it is not viable, especially because it will be like half an hour into the run at the earliest. So we don't talk about that. We really don't. We're just mentioning it for the sake of completeness of information, and because there's not really anything happening right now, so we're just layering the fun facts.
Warp is sort of one of those things that's a meme in the community because people have done it. People have pulled it off. I think there's like 3 or 4 people who have successfully done the trick, but it takes many tries, and in general, it's considered pretty unrealistic to pull it off in a run. Especially because in a run you would only get 1 shot. To essentially, the way the origin warp would work is you would have to go and actually die, which is pretty hard to do in Okami, on this gate over here, and in the process, never set your respawn coordinates correctly, and so the game would place you at the origin.
Yeah, the way you do that is by never spending more than 1 frame off the ground, so you will have to jump frame perfectly 5 to 7 times in a row, and you know that's not easy. But yeah, we get the Satomi power orbs in order to open that evilness of doom that was on the door blocking the entrance to the Gale Shrine. And a fun fact is that even if we could somehow clip through the gate, we cannot access Gale Shrine because the loading zone doesn't exist until you destroy the gate, which is just the saddest thing ever.
So that was the Chimera. The Chimera is an enemy that, like all the other enemies in this game, very easily die to cherry bombs. So just 1 cherry bomb to make it vulnerable, and then 2 more to take it out completely. It works out very nicely. Right here, I just yeeted a key. Yeet. Luckily, yeeting the key does not lose the key permanently. It warps right back into your mouth, so it's okay. It's okay. We have our key. That's what matters.
Yeah, and climbing. Now we're gonna be using this cherry bomb elevator, which is, well, powered by, cherry bombs, in order to first climb up to the 2nd floor of Gale Shrine and find a 2nd Chimera. Wow, what variety of enemies. This is such a great dungeon. There's so much happening.
Gale Shrine is a bit lackluster in terms of dungeons, in my opinion, and it doesn't help that we will actually not be doing the second half of this dungeon either. I did a little trick right here. I just did a small setup and then drew a cherry bomb, and the elevator drops back down while we're in that fight. So we'd have to raise it up twice, but I can essentially immediately raise it by drawing a cherry bomb after the fight ends and letting us continue on our merry way.
Yeah. And just to interrupt you a little, oh well, first of all, I would like to say that the name of the trick is officially the old Razzle and Dazzle. Just so people know. I think that's very important. Yeah, just to maybe I'm interrupting comms a bit, but Lego, just to tell you or to ask you, would you say right after exiting Gel Shrine or teleporting to North Rio would be a good time for the wellness break?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, excellent. I was thinking the same thing. Just wanted to
Just wanted to finish up this dungeon first.
yeah, just want to get past the slow part of the run.
Well, that's the wrong way. I need to draw a wind here. Oh my goodness, he like psyched me out of my gaming. So right here there's these evil winds that we need to counteract with our own good winds. And doing this will give us the power of Galestorm. Galestorm gives us the power of wind. It's pretty much useless in terms of like fights or most things, but it is required for 1 point in the run, 2 points in the run. Sorry, and so we do have to come here and grab it. So yeah. Immediately after this dialogue finishes, I'm going to be doing another small trick. We're not meant to have double jump at this point, and with it, we can actually do a bonk and just get over this invisible wall, and that lets us fall back down to it immediately without having to backtrack to the elevator and fall down that.
Yeah, and I mean, also, while you will think that having double jump in such an early dungeon would be such a blessing and so cool and allow us to break it, Kill Shrine is so boring that there is one single thing that we can do with double jump, and that's that fast escape, which is really good because it gets you out of Gale Shrine sooner. Isn't that nice?
All right, you don't need to be that mean to Gale Shrine. All right, you don't need to be that mean. It is a dungeon in the game. All right.
It is certainly one of the dungeons of all time. I will agree to that.
So true. So yeah, right here we're just going to be we're essentially finishing up the sort of lull in the run where there's not too many tricks happening. Intended gameplay, if you will. But that will be changing pretty soon here. On my way out here, I am doing some double jump movement while exiting Kusa to just get out of here faster, cutting corners as much as I can. And as I leave, I'm going to be doing our first shopping that is going to look like this, which is I come here and I buy the maximum number of large Exodus slips, and then I leave. And that's because for essentially the rest of the game, large XM slips are now our main tool of destruction. Cherry bombs are good, but eventually they just don't do enough damage, and large XM slips do lots of damage. Their downside being that they cost a lot of money, but we will just be funneling all of our money into XM slips in order to be able to do that.
Yeah, and thankfully, all late game bosses, which we are entering the late game now, give us a lot of money, and they have no resistances to exorcism slips. So yeah, we're just gonna be spamming them. And
that is, I think this is time for the break.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right. Well, everyone, let's give a massive round of applause to Lego already, because I've honestly just been sitting back here and absolutely reveling in the beauty of this run so far and the incredible tricks. It's been amazing. So, like they said, we will be taking a short little wellness break for y'all. So, make sure to refill your water bottle, stretch your legs, whatever you need. And just another reminder, Frost Fatales is an event by Frame Fatales, which is coming up February 26th, which is in just over a month. To see more information about this all-women speedrunning event, you can visit gamesdonequick.com/framefatales or use !FF in chat, I believe, to see more information. And if you enjoyed this run, you're absolutely going to want to come back for Frost Fatales because you might recognize it. So we are going to take a short break for the next few minutes, and we will catch you back right after this for more Okami. Why, hello, everybody, and welcome back to She is Speed. I hope you enjoyed your wellness break and that you got some good stretches in and all that fun stuff. Let me know in chat what kind of snacks you got, because I'm all about the snacks, okay? Right before the break, we were halfway through an Okami new game any percent run from Lego. And she's been killing it. The glitches have been amazing. We have been blasting through this game really, really quickly. So I'm going to toss it back over to her and we're going to keep going.
All right, so let's just get right back into it. Time starts in 3, 2, 1, go. So at this point in the run, we just came from Tonga Pass doing some stuff with Gale Shrine, and now we're back in North Rio in the second arc of the game. Immediately, we're going to go and talk to these bullies. One more, just check up on them bullying him, because this is necessary in order for us to be able to summon Orca. Orca is a pretty cool dude, and Urashima hopefully would have told us about him, but we really only have to help him escape his bind in order to get Orca to show up. And from here, we're going to swim on over. This is the wrong way compared to what the game wants us to do. We normally would be going to Catwall Tower here and getting the power of Catwalk, but that takes a few minutes to do. And frankly, climbing up Catwall Tower is not very fun if you've played this game, you know what I mean? So instead, we're going to be skipping Catwalk. But as part of that, skipping Catwalk is not an easy task. So our first trick here is going to be a Demon Boost. Let's see if I can get this first try. No,
Yeah, this is...
Go ahead.
Yeah, you focus on the hard trick. This is one of a kind of glitch that we actually saw at the beginning of the run. At the beginning of the run, we saw a dialogue boost. These are glitches that essentially abuse some sort of transition or animation disruption in order to ground tackle in the air during a 1-frame window after that animation or transition is interrupted or ends. This in particular uses the fact that the animation from an aerial attack is interrupted by the fight ending. And that was really good.
Yep, and so immediately after doing that, we're going to be able to draw a shooting star for the Watcher right there to wish on. And from there, the Whirlpool Galaxy is rediscovered because of the Watcher's Wish. At which point we can use Gale Storm on Earth to spin a galaxy in the sky. And then by spinning the galaxy in the sky, this opens up a whirlpool back on Earth. So if you really think about it, it all makes sense. You just gotta really, it's an enlightened mind to understand how things work in this world.
Yes, I've taken physics courses in university, and I would say that Okami is a very realistic game that is grounded in real-life physics. It just makes so much sense when you think about it.
Very true.
Yeah, and the thing we just saw, making the galaxy spin, is actually the single thing in the run that strictly requires Gale Storm. So if that was in the run, we could actually skip the entirety of Gale Shrine. But, unfortunately it is, and we don't, there is no way to skip it that we know of. Not even the extremely powerful New Game Plus speedrun can get around it.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really mentioned is that the New Game Plus speedrun is very different from the New Game speedrun because it has an infinite jump, which basically lets it do a whole lot of skips that we did really easily, as well as a whole bunch of skips that we just can't do.
Yeah,
Right
we are
there,
getting.
I
Yeah,
actually said the wrong thing to Otohime there, where she asks to repeat her story. And I clicked the default option, which is yes, please just tell your story over and over again. But we don't actually want to do that. We want to keep going.
Yeah, and then she asks you again if she should repeat herself. But this time, the options are flipped, and the default option is the one to make her stop, and the alternative option is to make her keep going. So it's very common to, like, you know, we're all gamers used to having the default option be, yes, please repeat it. So it's so common that people would just lose time to Autohime repeating herself because, you know, we just forget.
But now we're inside a dragon. This is, I think, what the inside of a dragon looks like. Crystals, weird light tree things. We're going to be doing some gaming movement here, jumping from platform to platform to get around these scrolls, which are very annoying to dodge otherwise. And then we're just going to pick up this key here.
Excellent. So this is just weird fun fact. This is actually canonically the second dungeon that is inside a living being, or the second dungeon-ish segment at least. And if you have paid attention and are very familiar with the game, you maybe even noticed this when you played casually. But this area is just a reskin of Hannah Valley that we saw all the way early into the run where we got Bloom. It just has different textures and it's mirrored in its layout. And similarly, the Dragon Palace is a reskin of Sasa Sanctuary. So they were really saving on resources at this point, which is fine. These are still great areas with great soundtracks. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna give the water dragon a terrible ulcer, like a really bad one. And if you've ever had any issues with stomach acidity and ulcers, just I don't know. I just feel sorry for the water dragon because I have, and this is just so bad. But the reason we're doing this is in order to kill the water dragon. Isn't that nice? We are such nice people. So we're gonna be using the acid here and a cool camera trick by going into first-person camera to start hitting the dragon orb early. And that lets us keep getting all the way to the platform, which we actually couldn't do without healing. If we didn't do that weird abuse of Lego beating the corner by getting a corner jump to get out of the water briefly to conserve health. Now Lego is power slashing the two foxes, which die to a single exorcism sleep itch in order to make the next waves spawn faster. So there are 8 two foxes, and they spawn in 3 waves. First you get 3, then 2, then 3 again. And now we have killed the water dragon, and we have to get out of its corpse, which is falling apart. And in the process, we are having this rain of acid that is complete RNG, except it is weighted to fall around Amy, which isn't great. And we are gaming. So if you take the optimal path, which of course Lego just did, there is a possibility that you will get hit by RNG acid while in mid-air and drop all the way to the water at the bottom, which loses too much time, and it just feels bad when it happens.
It really does. Yeah, it's worth noting that actually, even if you take the safer route, it's still not completely safe. You can still technically get hit by the acid, which feels even worse because you took the safe way and it didn't even matter. Mm-hmm. But we just learned, actually we haven't just learned yet, but we heard that Otohime has something to say to us. We got her orb for her, so that was the whole point of going the dragon, was to get the dragon orb, which is actually Otohime's husband. yada yada. But apparently, Otohime just learned that Himiko, Queen Himiko of Seon City, or possibly Lonely Pond, is in danger, and we need to go check up on her. You know, it's
Yeah,
important.
so in that cutscene, we learned that a character who we have never met has been lying to us this whole time, and a character we also have never met is in great danger.
Yeah. We would have learned all about them if we had actually played the first half of the second arc, but we didn't. We skipped it all when we managed to get into North Rio early, and so now we just have sort of issues that just aren't very they aren't really that pressing to us, considering we don't know any of the people involved, but we'll still go check up on them. It's important.
Oh, and by the way, this banger of a song is called Giving Kushinada a Ride, in case you want to find it online. I don't actually know the name they use in English, but that's the translation of the Japanese name. Yeah.
That is the name.
Yeah, this song is supposed to play during the climax of the first arc, but you know, since we skipped all that, we never got to listen to it. But it's a banger. It's just amazing. And we get it just on this moment where we're like taking our last few breaths. Right now we're just taking movement, like he's jumping around the cliffside to cut corners, save any frames she can. But right now we're just on our last moment of reprieve before the run really picks up for the late game. From here on, once we enter Queen Himiko's palace, there are no breaks. We are going full speed ahead, and it is all amazing. So get comfortable, and you know, just be sure you're comfy. You have about a minute if you need another break to do anything, if you don't want to miss anything. And it's all gonna go by super fast. There's a lot of blinking you'll miss it moments, so pay attention. It's gonna be great, I promise. So
yes, so right here we the front entrance to Sand City is actually blocked off right now. The guards won't let us in, so we have to go around the back way. And the ghost of a character we never met, Rao, shows us the secret passage into Seon City from the backside, which lets us bypass the guards. And from here, we head into Queen Himiko's palace. So the first thing I'm doing is building up dash, which is a little weird. I want gold dash, though, the maximum speed for this upcoming trick. Queen Himiko, for some reason, decided that, you know, guards are cool and all, but really, if you want to be safe, you need a giant sea of lava. That's the real way to stay safe.
he has a very metal sense of interior decor, I'm not gonna lie. So this is Fire Tablet skip. In order to get to Queen Himiko casually, you will need to do a whole lot of stuff, extra stuff to get the Fire Tablet. Oh my god, second try, let's go. And instead of that, we can do those very precise jumps. You probably noticed that Lego used the brush there. That is in order to buffer when she releases the jump button. Because the timing, not only of the jumps, but of the releases is very important so that we don't run into the gates and the ceiling and lose momentum. This is that Owen. Okay, this is Rao again. Very vulnerable to alcohol-powered explosives. And that's a fight. You actually got good RNG. Rao has 2 patterns whenever she gets hit at the beginning, and each consecutive hit. Afterwards, if she chooses not to do her attack, like her falling down attack, and we got it, the falling down attack wrist route, which is optimal. But yeah, this is probably one trick that when you played as a kid, if you did, you probably were like, I can make it, you know? You see how you're so close, and you think like, surely I can make it. And you can, but it turns out in order to make it, you have to do a series of two button presses and 2 button releases that are, well, and an extra button press, which compounded have a single frame of leniency across all of them. So, which is really hard. but thankfully we have techniques and methods to make timing all of that easier, so that there is a single frame perfect input in the trick, which is the first jump. And you might have noticed Lego did some very weird movement when coming out of Himiko's palace. That's because she was attempting a very cool time save that she has never got in a run, but it would look really cool if she had got it. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you just go for it every time because it will be such a sick goal.
It would be cool if you actually got it any time ever.
Yeah. And now we are now heading to what is supposed to be the second major dungeon of the game, which is Oni Island. And before getting into Oni Island, we're gonna take this quick shopping trip where, you guessed it, we spent all our money on large exorcism slips. Again, as we said, this is gonna be every single shopping trip with a small exception at some point, but we're essentially just putting all our money in exorcism slip stocks.
All right, so we're going to be doing another demon boost up here because we have to get up on Watcher's Cape again. I do have a question for you, Lena. What is your favorite color?
Oh, my favorite color is purple, hands down.
Okay. So we have something where we like to bet on which color an NPC will be for a brief moment before it actually spawns in. So we'll see if you're right on which color it ends up being. It's totally random every time. I also got the demon boost first try, which is pretty cool. Very happy about that.
Yeah, it is particularly important to get the demon boost quickly because the game right now, in the lore, there's this thing where Oni Island swaps positions every night. So we have to get there before it turns night. Oh, it was teal?
That was green. Green.
Okay, yeah.
Sadly didn't get it. That's okay. There's like 7 different colors it can be, so it's pretty unlikely you ever get it. But it's just one of those things that's always fun to bet on.
Yeah, that's the Autohime guessing game, and we play that whenever Ron gets into this part. And if it matters to anyone, my forever color guess is blue.
This is Oni Island, and right off the bat, we're going to do that jump, which bypasses the need for Fire Tablet or Inferno to right up that fire pillar. And then I'm going to do a double jump and a bonk to get out of bounds. And from here, I'm just going to be doing a bunch of jumps all around the side of Oni Island, which is the dungeon we're in right now. About halfway through this dungeon, we're going to... the game pops you back outside for a very brief moment, really, so that it can justify giving you a brush power here, so that you can actually see the sky for a constellation. But very nicely, the outside it uses there is the exact same map as when you first arrive on the island. And so this statue over here, we can jump all the way around the island to basically completely go all the way around. And in the process, once we use rejuvenation to restore the lightning bolt on this tiger, we'll be able to get a brush power, and at the same time, the game will put us back in bounds. So, which all in all allows us to skip about half the dungeon.
And that is the last of, I believe, a total of, 4 uses of rejuvenation in the entire game?
Rejuvenation is sadly just not used very much.
And we are required to open that gate for the tutorial, but we're actually gonna go the opposite way, back into the dungeon. Why? Because, well, we do a little sequence breaking over here. We've already skipped half the dungeon, so why not skip more? So Lego is gonna do this jump into an air tackle in order to get into a half out of bounds state, then abuse the animation of getting back into bounds to get an on-skew boost to then get a full out of bounds state and go all the way into the 2D section. And that's called Awesome Skip. Now, The 2D section is one of the most mechanically intensive things. Oh no, that's so sad.
It's all right. Let's do the second fastest way.
Okay, yeah.
This section, the 2D section as we call it, is based a lot on cycles, and so because I lost dash there, I actually lost my ability to do the fastest cycle, which actually lets you just jump straight up that middle portion. But you need to abuse a very weird mechanic in order to get up. So without dash, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Sadly, I missed the cycle here too. Ideally, you would kind of fly down on the top of the bamboo shoot if it's aligned correctly, but just missed it. That's all right.
It's all right.
And right here, we're on another cycle, but rather than being, high pressure, you got to go really fast to make it. This cycle is very, very slow.
Yeah, so
no real pressure.
the cheese wheels right here only start moving when you put the electric key in. So you have a lot of time to make it up here before they line up the way we want them to. And that's beautiful cheese wheels. So we are now in the final floor of Oni Island. That was quick, wasn't it? So yeah, this is gonna become a bit of a common theme from here on out. Or well, it really has been all the time, hasn't it? Where we don't really see a lot of the dungeon. And now we're gonna skip all of the 4th floor by using this brush adventure and abusing the power of Vine. So Vine is one of, not the only way that we know of to get true clips and bypass collision in Okami. So by using that Vine to clip out of bounds and then using it to clip back into bounds, we can completely skip the 4th floor and, save Toby. That's the most important part.
Yeah, Toby is sort of your friend and main character of Oni Island, but we never see him, which is for the best, because normally Toby would die after the last race, but in this timeline, Toby is saved. So that's why that's called Toby Skip.
And now we draw this constellation to draw out Ninetales, the fake god. Now, Ninetales has this mechanic where she doesn't take real damage when you hit her in her combined form. Instead, you have to deal a certain amount of damage to make her roar, and as soon as she roars, she becomes vulnerable to Thunderstorm. You don't actually have to wait for her to raise her sword up. Letting her raise her sword up is actually a time loss because it starts an unskippable cutscene. And by Thunderstorming her after she roars, she splits up into her tails. She splits up into 4 vulnerable tails at a time. And yeah, that's how we use exorcism slips to kill the tails in 2 cycles. And after she shows her true form with a single tail and a single eye, we just use 4 exorcism slips to finish her off. Boss fights become really interactive in the late game.
They really do. Pressing plus and pressing A 2 times is probably one of my favorite things to do, to deal damage. That fight is actually one of the more fun fights of this game.
Yes.
In terms of boss fights. Obviously, when we deal the actual damage, it's all in action slips, but setting up in order to deal the damage, there's a lot of potential for time loss and finicking around, so it's a pretty fun boss fight.
Yeah, and that's how most fights, or really all fights, are gonna function. We have to do something to make the boss vulnerable, and after doing that, of course you went for that.
I didn't expect the scroll to just rise up so much. It came after me, man.
And well, that jump is like a corner cut that Lego always goes for and fails recently. So
I gotta go for it.
Very optimal. Anyway,
Extremely.
Yeah. So the way boss fights work is we do something to make the boss vulnerable, and then use exorcism slips to do all the damage. And now we are heading to the final area and arc of the game. And for the first arc, we did most of the first half. for the second arc, we did most of its second half. And for this arc, we're only gonna do its final dungeon. That's all we're gonna do. It's a really cool and trick heavy segment. So again, get cozy. We do the final demon boost of the run. Not the final D boost. We still have 1 or 2, depending on how you count them, of those to go. And yeah.
Yep.
So these demon boosts are important for the reason that in order to get up these things, like the Watcher's Cave in North Ryoshima Coast and this plateau in Shinshu Field, we will need the catwalk rush power. So these are technically like catwalk skip part 1, part 2, part 3 is what they are. And well, using these demon boosts gets us into Kamui, the snowy area with a sick soundtrack, like every game with a snowy area seems to have.
So the first thing I'm going to do is another brush adventure. First I have to do a pretty weird clip to get the camera out of bounds. And the point of this is that normally we go and meet Oki, sort of the main character of the third arc of the game. But instead we're just going to skip all the hoopla with Oki. We don't really need to learn about him, so we'll just go over here and bloom the guardian sapling from underneath this rock, which makes this cutscene look a little funny, but it skips all the stuff we would normally have to do in Cursed Kamui and cuts right to after we bloom it.
And yeah, the rock just disappears because the cursed map and the cleansed map are different maps. So now Lego is gonna do that funny loop, which seems weird and a time loss, like just going around. But what that loop does is, for some reason, it activates these Vine Blossom. And what that allows us to do is there's actually a ton of invisible walls here surrounding the sapling. And since Vine is incredibly potent, we can just use the Vine Blossom to pull us through those invisible walls and skip a very annoying and slow fight, which is the fight that introduces an enemy type called the Igloo Turtle, which it's just annoying. We would rather not fight them. And yeah, like that, we're gonna run straight into Webkier. Now, in Webkier, you're supposed to meet the Okina ? It doesn't matter. We're not really
said
gonna
that,
be.
and I honestly cannot remember if that's the correct name or not.
It's okay.
We're here in Webkier, and that's what matters. We're supposed to go and talk to the tribe here and learn all about them, and learn what their troubles are.
Oina.
How we need to help them. But we're not going to do that. Yes, oh no, there we go. I knew it wasn't right, but I could not remember what it was.
Yeah.
So we're going to skip all that, and we're going to instead jump over to the slope that's just barely reachable. And from here, we're going to do some sliding ground tackles to climb up this mountain. The texture for this mountain is not where the actual mountain is, so Ami is below the texture. But we climb up, and we get just over an invisible wall. And from here, we jump even more out of bounds, all to get past this gate here that would normally be, which is basically what blocked your progression, and normally would force you to talk to the Oida tribe. And so there we go. Bypass that. And as Krino mentioned, this run, this third arc of the game, we skipped about half of the first arc and about half of the second arc. We are skipping nearly every last bit of the third arc. We are meant, at this point, we haven't really skipped much yet. They're at the top of this mountain that we're running up right now is a house. Inside is someone who will give us an item that lets us into Yashpet, and from there we're supposed to go back in time and fight Orochi for the second time, even though we already skipped fighting Orochi the first time. And then after all that, we would finally run back out here. And all in all, that would take like 25-30 minutes to do. A really long time. But instead, we're going to not do any of that. And this house where we would normally need to go into, we're going to jump on top of.
Yeah.
Land right here, use a vine and slide up this wall. Use another vine, and thanks to a weird bug with vines, that was close. I had a
Whoops.
bit of a weird thing that happened there that doesn't normally happen. When you vine up while on the ground, you actually keep your ground and double jump, and so through the combined height of the vine and our regular jumps, we're able to get all the way up and over the invisible wall and get inside Wauku Shrine from the side.
Yeah, and conveniently, the loading zone for Wauku Shrine extends out of bounds, so we can really just hit it without going back into bounds. So it goes by really fast. And this is the final major dungeon of the game. Now, this is the reason why we need fire brush power. We really just got fire burst for this dungeon, and there's gonna be some surprises from it in a bit. But right out of the gate, we are gonna be doing brush adventure, which I do believe is the last one, in order to skip getting the key for this lockjaw. Fun fact, if you skip getting this key, or rather the puzzle to get it, that requires you to go into another room and balance some scales with some trees and whatnot. Oh, wow.
Not quite close enough. It's all right.
That's
it's
okay.
All right, it's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, if you skip doing the puzzle that gets you the key for this, and you go and fight the meat boss of the dungeon, the game will crash. Or rather, it will hard logged. You'll just get a black screen forever. But you know, we have a lot of surprises in store here, so we'll save that for later. And here we have the final series of deboosts. So by using Fire Burst here, when we hit the icicles, we immediately unfreeze. And that allows us to get a frame perfect deboost from the first icicle to get to the second one, and then get another frame perfect deboost from the second icicle to get all the way up the platform. And then Lego goes and those fancy movement gets a cutscene skip that isn't obvious, and just dashes through. Now, here's a very funny consequence of Fireburst. Fireburst actually slows down time, which is just weird that it does, but it's gonna be helpful to us. It's helpful to us there to get through that passageway with the fast spinning gears quickly. We actually don't need to slow them down to get through. There's a weird method, but it's a lot faster to just slow them down with Fire Burst. Now we make short work of this great Tengu with a large exorcism slip. Who could have guessed? And then use this first-person camera trick in order to freeze the lever, which if you get too close to this slot machine, you'll actually get like a camera pan cutscene to explain you what it is. But you know, we can just do all of it from far away, and we already know the pattern we want the slot machine to be in. So once we do the thing, we get our final brush power of the game, Blizzard. And we are gonna use Blizzard a total of 2 times. Isn't that exciting? Oh yeah, the tutorial use counts, by the way. We're only gonna use it one more time. And there is no humanly possible way to skip that single use of Blizzard. So here's the reason why we can not fight Nechku, named, you know, Nechku's Kid. A great thing with dungeons like this, like on the island, that have outside areas and that go outside again way later, is that we can go out of bounds and re-enter. So this keeps essentially the entire dungeon, including the meat boss, which is the solo fight versus Nechku, allowing us to get into the cannon room, where Lego has to abuse the slowdown power of Fire Burst to kill the golden cannon. Now, this is incredibly hard because Fire Burst actually locks you out from using your brush for a couple of seconds until you use it. So Lego has to time the her uses of Fire Burst very strictly in order to have brush available back in time by the time the cannon shot is in the air, but have the slowdown effect of Fire Burst still active when the shot is fired for it to be slowed down and targetable. Now, this is the hot gear room. You're supposed to freeze these gears. But, you know, if you're built different, you can do this series of hard jumps. These jumps are hard, I promise. It's I have been given a very bad run to showcase how hard all the tricks in this run are. Because Lego is too cracked, but, you know. Oh, look! Meet the elevator dog.
Yeah,
Isn't that nice?
They put a dog in here just for the elevator. It's very nice of them.
Yeah.
I love dogs. They're very cool. Dog's even fighting with us, which is pretty cool. Got a sword. You know, I'm a fan of dogs with swords. Like, for instance, our own dog with swords. Well, we don't have a sword right now, but, you know, hypothetically, we could have a sword.
Yeah, the elevator to the final fight of Walker Shrine is the single time we interact with the main character of the final arc of the game, which is just amazing. So that was Lechko and HQ. In case you didn't notice, you use 5 exorcism slips and they die. They have no resistance to it. You don't have to do anything to make them vulnerable. You just go in, spam slips, and they die. Fun fact, for the purpose of the speedrun, oh my god. Oh, let's go. That's great. Anyway, so that was Tango Skip. That is the dumbest trick in the run. It saves about a second tops.
Yeah.
And it risks losing your run because you have to jump around.
You lose like 30, 40 seconds at the very worst. It's not too big of a deal.
At your level, that loses your run.
Okay, if I was going for a PB maybe, but this is alright. Anyway, we're in the Arc of Yamato. We're having a good time here. So the Arc of Yamato acts as a boss rush for this game. So all those bosses that we actually skipped, we're gonna get to see anyway. Isn't that neat? So first here is Blight. This is the boss of Imperial Palace. Now you're meant to use Veil of Mist to take him down, but we never got that power. So instead, we're going to just wait for him to do this attack and Power Slash, and then use our just regular attacks to help take him out, since Blight does have a resistance. Does have a resistance to exorcism slips. So that is actually the faster method of taking it out, and the cheating method.
Yeah, Blight is the single major boss in this game that has actual resistance to exorcism slips after he becomes vulnerable. He does take full damage from them if he's made vulnerable through the use of Veil of Mist, but since we don't have it, it's just faster to use Tilfi Sake for one last time to take him out. Now, we are now heading into what many consider to be the true final boss of the game in the speedrun. This is by far the hardest fight. There is a lot of stuff going on that you have to manage and multitask in order for it to not go sideways, and it is very easy for things to go wrong here. This is Orochi. Orochi has 2 phases. The first phase is one in which you have to get 3 of his heads drunk. You do this by baiting out their attacks. After they are done with their animations, they roar, and you can put the 8 purification sake into the mouth with water spout. Now, what happens here is that you're only supposed to be able to interact with one head at a time, but because of the way the animation for the Earth head attack works, where it stomps down and there you have to interrupt it. When it finishes the first half, the game forgets this limitation and just lets other heads interact without restrictions. So like that, we hit all 3 heads and the bell at the same time, because that deals a little bit of extra damage to the bell, allowing us to take it out with a single exorcism slip for essentially no time cut. because otherwise it will take 2 slips. Now, this phase is a lot harder. So Lego is positioning herself under the heads, because that makes them do their fastest attack animation, which is this headbutt. And that way she's just going around and making 4 heads vulnerable. You don't have enough time to kill all of them in one cycle. You can only get 4 vulnerable at once. And then use 2 exorcism slips in order to take all 4 out. And oh, she is gonna require an infinity, unfortunately. If you do it perfectly, you don't need to use infinity, but you know, that rarely ever happens. So the most annoying thing is that Rain of Fire, Lego just, you know, didn't get phased by it at all, but it is very annoying. And the fire, you only have one way to get it off you, which is attacking. And if you panic and attack to get the fire off you and happen to hit one of the heads before it is vulnerable, they will actually go into an enrage pattern where they do a super long attack that loses you a lot of time and can essentially stop your chances at getting a 2 cycle entirely. But, you know, that was Orochi. Looking easy as usual. And now we have a couple of incredibly interactive fights. Yes. And can you guess? Can you guess what we're gonna do? Come on, I'll give you 3 guesses. We are gonna get in there. Oh yes, Lego. Remember to tilt.
I did remember. I was gonna do it. All right, you don't have to worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. I wasn't gonna forget to tilt.
Okay.
I'll do it after this one. I'll do it after this one.
Yeah. This is Spider Queen, who we actually fought because of the route we did. And this time, she's harder. She takes 3 vines instead of 2. What a concept!
It's incredible. It's incredible.
And then we just do 2 exorcism slips and she dies. You know.
All right. So tilt, what Karina was mentioning earlier, and I've seen someone mention in the chat. These portals that open up have some funky stuff with them. Where if you spin into them like so, you'll just you'll have tilt. You will simply be tilt. That is it, but it looks pretty funny. So
damn Lego, I thought this run was going great. Why are you so tilted? I'm sorry.
You didn't need this. You didn't need to do that joke. You didn't need to see that.
I know. I had to go for it. It was right there.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll let it go this time.
So again, we're going into another fight, and I will again give you 3 guesses. Well, this one is actually even worse than Spider Queen in terms of its non-interactiveness. So, this is not the easiest fight in the game. That honor still goes to Lechko and Nechku. This fight takes an entire extra action over Lechko and Nechku. So what we do is we do 1 exorcism slip to knock off Crimson Helm's armor off, then Galestorm, then 4 exorcism slips to kill him. And that is it. You know, this requires 5 exorcism slips and a Galestorm. Lechko and Nechku require just 5 exorcism slips. I would say this is objectively harder.
That is true. That is true. It is objectively harder. So these are so far we've done 4 out of the 5 boss rush fights, and our final one is just going to be completely the same as the first time, with 9 tails. Which, to be fair, it is a more fun boss fight. It is one of the better ones in speedrunning. All these boss fights are super cool casually. If you are playing this game casually, I would highly recommend never use exorcism slips. They are they make things go faster for speedrunning, but casually fighting using there's a whole fight system in the game that's pretty cool, and I would highly recommend playing the game as they were hoping you would. Oh, you want to run into it? There we go. So yeah.
Yes, please.
So yeah. So for to get Ninetales to roar, every time we use a cherry bomb, which does enough damage to instantly make Ninetales roar. But we have to get Ninetales to run into it. We can't place it right on top of Ninetales, or it just doesn't really work. And so because of that, we kind of have to just hope Ninetales does what we want. This fight is pretty consistent most of the time. If you do the same things will happen. But it has to be like the exact same things, so it's not perfect. And sometimes weird things do just happen. There's like a really, really unlucky chance that you have to have a third cycle, but I think I've gotten that like 2 or 3 times ever running this game. So, very unlikely to happen. But that's Ninetales.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she has these. She does have the massive change of taking 2 exorcism sleeps instead of 4 in her final phase. We should add.
Yeah, they buffed Spider Queen. They nerfed Ninetales. Really, they're making huge changes to these fights. Completely different from the original fights. Just overall incredible stuff.
So we are now heading into the final boss fight of the game after finishing the boss rush. And if you've played this game, you know this, but I will say it anyway. Yami is just like one of the biggest achievements in game design history. It's such a good fight. It marries narrative, game mechanics. It is challenging. It is fun. It has a banger soundtrack. So you can guess how we're gonna fight Yami. We're gonna go here to our friend Marco. We're gonna buy all the exorcism sleeps that we can, and we're gonna use, well, not all of them, hopefully.
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them. So, yeah, my recommendation is if you have never played this game and you are inspired to play it from watching this run, please do not do this. Enjoy the fight. It is very good.
So the way this fight works is there are 5 total phases to this fight. And in each phase, except for the last one, we are slowly retrieving our lost brush powers. So right now, we only have Rejuvenation, our very first one. And as time goes on, we'll just, with each of these little cutscenes, we'll get better. One other thing is that with these cutscenes, I'm fast texting them, just because it's faster to do that than to actually skip the cutscene entirely. That takes much longer. I also, sometimes with these bosses, you don't have to use extreme slips. There are better strategies, like here I'm in Power Slash for significant damage, and it's better than an extreme slip. But, yeah.
And yeah, in this second phase, Lego is actually trying to hit Yami to save some time. I think you can save 1 exorcism sleep from doing that, and build up Godhood, which is a mechanic that has not been important in any point of the run. But when you do combos in this game, you build up Godhood, which is some sort of shield that will like shield you from a certain number of hits until it fades out. So Lego is trying to just hit Yami here like a piñata, and build up the Godhood so that in the final phase she can just send around and spam exorcism slips, which without worrying about not doing them frame perfectly. Because if you don't do them perfectly, you can get a time loss from getting hit by some missiles. But yeah, that was phase 1 and 2 of Yami. Fun fact, each phase is a different enemy, and it essentially starts an extra fight. But this is the slot phase. This one is funny because the slots are actually not entirely RNG. We call doing what we just did rigging the slots. And the thing is, after certain health thresholds, Yami will just always give you this pattern, and that's the pattern that gives you back up brush power. So we just front load 5 exorcism sleeps to get Yami past all of the thresholds and get back our brush powers, and then do one final exorcism slips. We do need to get back all the brush powers that correspond to each phase before we are able to deal the ending blow to each set phase to advance the fight. So here we get our third brush power back. And right after this cutscene, Lego is going to use one exorcism slip to advance to the final phase. Now, it's a common well-known myth, I suppose, that each phase of Yami represents some sort of dark desire of humanity. For example, the first phase represents the desire to destroy, the second phase, the desire to create and expand, the third phase, the desire to gamble. And this fourth phase represents the desire to battle in sick mechs, which sadly we don't get to see much of because Lego just front loads slips. We do get to see a frame of the mech though before the cutscene is skipped. But yeah, one thing that is important is, of course, we don't just do all our slips and then call it a day. We actually have to plan out how we use our slips because even if Yami is past the threshold to give us a brush power, Yami has to be hit to go into the animation that gives us back the brush power. So we plan it all out so that we will always hit Yami and get back our brush powers with like a single exorcism slip sometimes. Like we do in this phase, we do 5 exorcism slips at the beginning and then do 1 exorcism slip 3 times to get it back and 1 to finish it off. Now we're on the final phase, favorite song of the game for me. And what we do here, there you go, there's the mech. Is we count to 12.
Yep. I do want to say, as this run finishes out, if you want to give speedrunning Okami a try, we have a Discord, and more importantly, we have a beginner route. You do not have to start with a bunch of hard tricks. There's a much you don't have to just put yourself in the deep end. There's a much easier route that is still very fun to do. So if you want to do that, we have a Discord. You can find it on speedrun.com. And we have all sorts of resources, video guides, and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that is Okami New Game 80%.
Yeah.
The in-game time there is surprisingly good, considering I had to get Sunrise as well as failed HBS, which lost me about a minute or 2. So I'm very happy with this run. It's ended up being really good. So yeah, you have anything to say, Karina?
Yeah, just shout outs to all of the Okami speedrunning community. I've been seeing a lot of y'all's in chat. I see Rai, I see Astral, I see Outright, I saw Firestar, I saw Cookie, Gala. You know, y'all are just great. Everyone contributes something, even just being here, even if people don't run. Yeah, like even if you are not interested in speedrunning Okami yourself, if you just like the speedrun. Oh, also Rifty. Shoutouts to Rifty. We have a lot of people who aren't really into speedrunning themselves. People who just like the speedrun or just like Okami. Like we welcome anyone who's interested. I don't have the Discord link handy right now. I can post. Can I post it in chat? Is that something I can do? Question mark. Okay. Let me find the invite. And you know, we're a very friendly community. Oh, that's not it. I'm not able to get it, unfortunately, it seems. But you can access it from the speedrun.com page of Okami, and you know, hope to see you there. And thank you for watching the run.
Awesome. Well, everyone, let's give another massive round of applause to Lego for that incredible display of Okami. That was beautiful and absolutely thrilling the entire way through. We are going to take a short break as we prepare for our next run. We have a race coming up next. And if you like games with animal protagonists, you are sure going to love this 102 Dalmatians run that we have coming up next. So, everyone, let's give a big wave to Lego for that incredible run, and we will catch y'all right after this break. See you soon! Welcome back, everybody, to She is Speed. My name is Lana Ruse, and I am your host for this fantastic evening slash night slash morning. Depends on your time zone. If you are joining us here today, I hope you all have been enjoying our amazing evening of animal protagonists. First, we had an Okami run, and it was amazing. And next up, we have got some Dalmatians that will be bringing down the house. Quick reminder that your subs, Crime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on our Twitch channel here help support Games Done Quick with AGDQ 2023 costs, including the hotel cancellation costs. So hey, please consider subscribing to help support Games Done Quick if you enjoy our content. So like I had said tonight, we have an exciting lineup. We now have a race of Disney's 102 Dalmatians Puppies to the Rescue, all puppies, featuring Passeray and Tainted Tally. And I'll let them explain it. Take it away.
All right. Hello. Passeray, why don't you go first? You're the best runner. Let's go.
No, we're about to race it out. Hi everybody, I'm Passeray. And yeah, this is going to be an all puppies run of 102 Dalmatians. We're going to be saving all the puppies in all the levels. You might notice that we have some different languages going on. But Tali, why don't you talk about that?
All right. So we have two different versions of the game here. Norwegian, which is what I'm playing on, which is one of the faster versions, not the fastest versions. I'm a second off, but then Passer is playing on the English version. So we're gonna show you a few different things today because of these things. So
a little friendly rivalry between our native tongues.
Yes, but before we actually even get started on that, we have a commentator with us as well, Bandit Yoshi. Do you want to take the floor?
Oh yeah, I am Bandit Yoshi. I don't personally run this game, but I've watched many runs, so I'll just be here to help out with talking about the run.
And for the actual time, the timing doesn't actually start until you get in and take control of the puppy. So I think I'm just going to get to the level select, and then we'll hit the level select at the same time, and we'll take it from there. I'm at level select now.
All right, me too.
All right, so Yoshi, do you want to do us the honor and count us down?
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Here we go.
All right, it's time. Yeah, this is normally not included in the actual speedrun time, but right there, when we get control of the puppies, when the actual official timer starts. So as we mentioned before, this is all puppies category, so you'll see a lot of this. Us rolling into boxes, breaking the box to free the puppy. Which if this was all levels, we would run past all of them, but not tonight.
You don't
Tonight
save
we
a
are
single
saving them.
puppy in all levels. Not
Unless
a
you do it
single
by
puppy.
accident.
By
Which is
accident.
kind of sad.
That's the only puppy that gets to escape then.
Yeah. So you'll see the main movement tech we are using, and which is why you saw so many puppies rolling in the chat ahead of the showcase as well, is that rolling is our main form of movement. So we are going to be rolling a lot. Hopefully the noise doesn't bother you too much. I'm personally become immune to it, but I know some people comment on it being annoying, so I apologize for that.
That is me included.
The more you run this game, the less you hear the rolling sound. Or maybe you can't run this game unless you are able to tune out that rolling sound.
Yeah.
I genuinely hear it in my dreams. But there's 6 puppies per level, and I think there's 16 levels, right?
Yeah, 16 levels with
16
puppies and then
boss
there's the
fight.
Cruella levels.
Besides the boss fights, yeah.
And the plot of this game doesn't make a lot of sense if you've watched any of the Dalmatians movies. It doesn't match up to any of them. In this game, Cruella has a toy business and it's failing miserably. And so when she realizes that, her solution is to kidnap all the pets in England and turn them into lifelike toys. That's what she thinks is going to save her business.
It's a terrible idea, especially if you actually start to analyze her plan for how she's going to do this, because there's going to be something known as the super goop. You will see it, I don't remember if you see it earlier, but definitely in the last boss fight at least.
Yeah.
And at that point you can really question, wait, what was she actually going for? This is also a terrible idea. No wonder your toy business is failing.
Is there like a story explanation for why like the boxes are put in such bizarre places? If
I
she's
wish.
capturing these puppies, like why is there one like
No.
near the ceiling?
Because, like, the cutscene at the beginning is that, like, all of your siblings were, like, watching TV and then you go outside so you escape being captured. But if they were all captured watching TV, why are they everywhere? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And also, at least for my side, I'm not exactly sure how Passer is doing, but I just switched to a different puppy. I'm now playing as Oddball, so we are now, really living up to the She Is Speed name case here by playing as our female protagonist. And if you're wondering, does that make any difference? Most of the time, no. However, there we go. There is one unskippable cutscene later on, I think it's Cruella 3, where because it's unskippable, you obviously can't skip it, and Oddball has the shorter line of dialogue compared to Domino. So we want to play as Oddball for the speedrun.
Oddball is faster.
She is faster. She is speed.
She is speed.
So basically throughout the run you'll see like, I mean, each box is different based on where it is, but they'll like try to hit the box in a way that will like hit them off the platform. So like if you roll into the box and then I believe jump after hitting it, you can get a jump in before the cutscene happens, so you can get some extra movement. So like if you notice for each box there's like little optimizations that they'll try to do.
Yeah, which Passer is definitely way better at than me, so if you actually want to see those well done, look at her side of the screen right now.
They look really silly sometimes, like you just...
They do.
The dog just leaves, like Oddball's just gone, and the puppy's talking to nobody. That one's really hard to get for some reason. I don't know why that one specifically. Yeah, but some of them are really small. Like, you just bounce a little bit. Some of them are like you fall off the entire platform. Those are
Is there like a puppy in the game that's like the one you least look forward to? Like, is there one just that's like, compared to the other was like very hard? I'm just curious.
I don't think there's one that's very hard, but I know for Passer's side at least, there's some of them are easy to forget, especially since most of us run in multiple categories. Sometimes kind of the all levels muscle memory can kind of take over a bit, and Silo Dog is
Silo Dog. Poor Silo Dog has been forgotten so many times.
If you've ever been to a Passer stream, she has a channel point command specifically to remind her to get Silo Dog, because she will forget it most of the time.
Yeah.
Poor Silo Dog.
But we do love Silo Dog.
We love getting Silo Dog.
Yes.
There's some that are like some annoying platforming, like the one in Underground where you have to like walk along the top and not fall off. That one's annoying. You guys are gonna see what that's like.
There's definitely enemies that I dislike a lot. I don't think I've ever had any that like puppies. I just don't like collecting them. I always like collecting the puppies.
Yeah, someone mentioned in chat like this game is very similar to like Spyro, where you have to go around and save all the dragon statues. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, observation.
And
that's why a lot of people call it a Spyro clone.
I never even
Toys
thought about
for
that.
Bob. Toys for Bob was involved in this game.
That is true, yeah. So when are we getting this remastered?
Right? When is that happening? I'm waiting.
Me too.
The remake, no unexpected.
I'd be so happy though. There'd be like 5 people in the world who are so happy. Wait, no, wait. There's like 70 speedrunners of this game. There'd be 70 people in the world who are so happy.
Exactly. Hey, we count too.
All the toys and enemies in this game, though, all the enemies are toys, and all these toys are Corella's toys.
Oh yeah, that's a good point to mention. You can see why her toys failed so badly. She's like, who would want to play with most of these?
Yeah, so if you're looking at Passer's screen there, she tried to go for something called Heli Clip, but did not quite get it. It's a pretty precise, like, up warp.
Yeah, there's a There's Heliclip's one of the worst ones. You don't want to know how to do Heliclip.
Yeah, no.
A common trick that's used, especially in the all levels category, the out of bounds version, is to use just objects to push yourself out of bounds, but you can do it with toys, with all the enemies, and so it's especially hard when they're like moving. And some of them you only get like a certain number of tries because eventually they'll die and then you can't keep doing it. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of nuance.
And I think Big Ben is gonna be where we have our first like big road deviation from that, because there is an enemy outer bound there that Passray does, and I don't. So you can see that if Passray gets a first try, she's gonna have a bit of a gain on me, and if she doesn't, I might have a gain on her. So we'll see which one
Let's
wins
find
there.
out. Big Ben's a really frustrating level, casually and for speedrunning, because it's all vertical. You just keep going to the top, and if you fall down from the top, you just have to start over.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely like the earliest level that I would call like a PB killer. You can be on a PB in the first few levels, but when you get to Big Ben, that can very easily die, which isn't too bad. It's still early in the run, but unfortunately we have more levels that are run killers like that.
It's one of those levels that you hate playing as a kid.
Oh yes. I even
I
hate
love
playing it
the
now.
atmosphere of this, but I just remember falling so much.
Yep. I'm playing this one extra carefully now because I'm terrified of doing it now. I
Watch
do
me
not
die
want to fall.
on punching bag flip now that we've talked about it.
Let's see if Passray gets it.
Not first try.
Nice, I might be getting ahead though. Might. We'll see. Because this is what it looks like if you don't do punching bag.
There we go.
Oh no.
You see
Oh
Passray's
no, she's
floating
ahead.
in the void.
Unfortunately, PlayStation has like the lowest render distance of all the versions, so you really can't see where you're going in the void. But yeah, so there's PlayStation, Dreamcast, and PC versions of this game.
And I would also say now is when the race is interesting, because now you actually get to see the differences in like, what does it mean to do that skip versus not doing it. Like now, I'm also just now getting up to the point where Passray has probably already clicked back in bounds. Because she comes back in to grab this puppy right here. Oh.
Yeah, so you using the out of bounds, you don't have to like go back and forth in the next room.
Yeah.
Which I love because I hate that platforming.
I don't mind that. It's not the worst platforming for me, so I just prefer to not do the out of bounds. But
So,
again, it's always the risk of falling down against you.
Passray's on Cruella 1, first boss fight, so you'll see she's throwing pineapples at Cruella, because apparently she really hates pineapples and fruit. And going back and hitting the bell in the middle on Big Ben, and then going back and hitting it, and it's like a stun lock that just keeps her there, and you just keep repeatedly doing damage to her until you hit her with 5 pineapples.
You'll find that Cruella really hates fruit. We aren't sure why, but she clearly does.
Maybe we're the reason she hates fruit so much.
Yeah, these
Okay,
puppies
let's be
grab
real.
the
We're the ones
puppies.
throwing all the fruit at her.
The museum is the first level where we actually have to collect things. Because in most of these levels, if you're not collecting the puppies, you don't really have to do anything but get to the end. But in museum, you have to find 5 different artifacts that have been misplaced and bring them back to Fluffy before you can leave. And also collect the puppies.
Yep. So this actually ends up being easier in all puppies as a result of that, because you're already going around to collect the puppies, so you kind of might as well do the artifacts at the same time, whereas if you're doing all levels, this is just kind of frustrating.
Yeah. We always joke about like museum skip and barnyard skip, because barnyard's the other one where you have to collect things, but they haven't materialized yet. You still have to collect everything.
One day.
One day. And this is Fluffy. You can decide at the end whether he is working for Cruella or not. Lots of people have lots of different opinions on that.
He does like to get in the way sometimes, so I think he is working for Cruella. But he's not doing a very good job, if he is.
He does have the Cruella hair too.
He does.
Like, he's definitely copying her style.
You also need to be careful when walking through these portals to move between rooms here, because if you enter some of them, especially on the first floor, too high, then the game might think you're actually on the second floor and just teleport you upstairs, which is not necessarily something you want to happen.
It does not like you.
I don't know if this is gonna work.
Pastor's
worked.
going for a toe spot clip. There it worked. So if you like get stuck between toe spot and the wall, I don't know the specifics how exactly the trick works. You could probably explain it better fast, right? But essentially the game is like, oh, you're out of bounds, you should be up here.
What? Toe spot! Why? Nice. Toe spot doesn't like me either.
The problem with toe spot is that if you get just the slightly wrong position, it won't work. And then once it doesn't work, it's really hard to like get toe spot. Yay!
That was a really fast slope boost right there. If you roll into slopes, you can build up a really high speed. There's a few times you do it during the run.
Oh yeah, we can talk about them again in Countryside because there was that big one at the end. Oh right, but actually, so that last artifact, that was a donut, and that's why I think Fluffy's working for Cruella, because even though Fluffy knows you're rescuing all your siblings, Fluffy still decides that you need to give him a donut before you can leave.
He's hungry.
Very hungry.
It's the, everyone's favorite artifact.
Everyone's favorite artifact.
102 Dalmatians, Puppies for the Rescue takes place in the year 4200.
You know what? Fair.
It's an ancient donut.
I'm scared of taking damage now because I took too much damage on Toe Spot.
Yeah. Underground is where I'm the most afraid of dying. I'm gonna hope that it doesn't happen.
Talia definitely doesn't want to die to a random toast flying at her.
Yep.
I've had that happen sometimes though, where you think the enemy's too far away and then suddenly you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
This game's brutal, guys.
Yeah, no, Underground is where I tend to die too, so I am also afraid of this level.
Yeah, like, this is the one level I see runners die on. I can't think of other levels that are easy to die on.
It's the damn boats for me.
Yeah, so in Underground you have to kill a lot of things that are shooting projectiles at you, like the boat. Okay, Bandit Yoshi asked which puppy is the hardest to get. I hate this platforming up here because it's curved, so just rolling is questionably safe.
You're a super puppy.
That's the worst one.
And you have to climb all the way back up if you miss it.
Yep.
There's different sections of this level where you have to defeat all the enemies to unlock the next part. So you see Pastor's killing all these boats.
Oh, I'm totally gonna die. I already lost all my health. This is not good.
Just pop off for GDQ. Make it look easy.
It's easy, guys. I did a reroute of the PC version that exits the level and goes back in, and that way you don't die as easily, but it doesn't save time in console because the loads are so much longer.
Yeah.
Because then you can use the out of bounds and stuff to skip some of the enemies. It's so much better, but consoles. We have different leaderboards for console and PC because there's quite a few differences.
Yeah.
Tricks that just don't work and things like that.
You're the greatest.
No, he killed me.
No.
No!
I knew this was gonna happen. Okay, now I don't need to worry about puppies to get back to where I was. So.
Yeah, true. It makes you restart the level, but you don't have to get the puppies again, luckily.
Yeah.
And I hadn't gotten any checkpoints there either, so if I had a checkpoint, it wouldn't have put me all the way back to the start. But...
Yeah.
Boy, am I glad.
Yeah, anytime you see one of the red parrot, actually it's not a red parrot, it's the same red parrot. That's Waddlesworth. He's the checkpoint.
Yep.
Forgot his
Which
name
we'll
was
actually have a
Waddlesworth.
practical use later on.
Oh yeah, we do use him later. Do you know what his name is in Norwegian?
Vaglevol. I think it is.
Amazing.
I know they
Honestly,
say it
sounds just as wild.
It does.
The Norwegian version is the only one that has a different subtitle, so In English, it's Puppies to the Rescue. In other languages, it's also Puppies to the Rescue. And then
Yep.
Norwegian
And then in
is,
Norwegian, it's Operation Wolf. For some reason.
for some reason, they
Is it?
decided that
I
was
actually
better.
never knew that. That is
There you go.
hilarious. Yeah, so Pastoray's in Carnival right now. So basically,
Oh my god.
she's going around to different like sections of the carnival, and there's like different rooms for where the puppies are located.
If
with
you did
various
this one,
things going on.
yeah, there's lots of like sideshows and things. If you did this one in any other category, basically besides 100%, you can just roll right to the end and not do any of this.
Yeah, it's like a 10-second level or something
Yeah.
like that.
Something like that. It's so short.
My favorite thing is when I do all levels and it's just like, my commentary is just like, oh yeah, it's Carnival, it's so hard to do, it's incredibly tricky, and then I just, there we go, we did it! Really good. Just
It
play
can
up
actually be so
much.
frustrating though, because you're losing like 0.2 seconds and you don't even know why, because it's just like the
True.
wrong angle slightly.
Right, this is just something I just recently learned was possible. Oh, and I immediately got it, nice.
It's a tight jump you can do on the top of that slide.
Oh yeah,
It
that
is
one only
very
works on the
tight.
console version. Doesn't work on PC.
I didn't know that, actually. But it's really tricky to do. It looked really easy,
Yeah.
and then I went to try and do it, and I was like, wait, that was actually not easy.
I think
I
I
got
watched
it.
Pastoray on her stream last night try for like a couple minutes.
It took me forever. I just got that one really easy too. But it's more enjoyable for you guys. You guys get to see it and think it's easy. It's
We're gonna make all these people want to run this game, and then they're gonna start running it. It's like, wait, this isn't that easy. They're lying to us.
There's also a fortune teller in Carnival. I forget what the fortunes say, but they're pretty bizarre.
I don't remember those.
they have like there's like a certain number of openings and a certain number of
Closing stuff.
closings. Like it's a 2-part fortune. I can't remember any of the openings, so I think one
There's
of them's
one
like
about being friends with the Pacific Ocean or something like that.
there's like in 10 years you will be, and then like options are like a small island in the South Pacific, or yeah, Bandit Yoshi, I think it was like your new best friend will be a small island in the South Pacific was one we got once. But there's also like a large pile of chicken nuggets. There's also ball bearings, lots of ball bearings, and just silly things like that.
I love that.
So you guys can get your fortunes told. Very accurate fortunes, I promise.
This next level is called Lumber Yard, right?
Yes.
I believe. Okay.
And this one has lots of moving parts and lots of lag. Enjoy the frames, everybody.
Yeah, anytime they like go on the logs, the game like these spinning logs cause so much, so much pain, and you're
I'm
trying to
just-
get the movement right too, which is very tight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even without the lag, those can be really painful.
It's already a hard trick, and then the game goes to like 10 FPS.
So this is the PlayStation version. It definitely has the most lag. If you play either of the other versions, it doesn't. But part of the reason we're playing on PlayStation is because the Norwegian version doesn't exist for Dreamcast, which is really sad. They never released the Scandinavian one on Dreamcast, just on PlayStation and PC.
And we thought it would be more fun to showcase this version differences, because again, it's a race, but it's also kind of a showcase in a sense, I guess.
Yeah.
To show you the differences, and also not just the differences in version, but also the differences in routes you can take. So if you are out there thinking, hey, maybe you want to speedrun this game, there are multiple options for you to do so without, you know, making it too difficult. We have easy tricks, I promise.
You're a super puppy.
There's also the other categories where you don't even have to say puppies, although, I mean, It's kind of mean to just run past all the puppies. Come on,
It
guys.
really is.
I say as somebody who's definitely done more all levels runs than all puppies runs.
The nice thing about all puppies too is you get to hear all the voice lines of the puppies in the boxes.
Yes.
There's a large variety of dialogue you get.
Some of them are really funny.
For some reason, there's different like frequencies of the different dialogue options, so some of them only appear once and some of them appear like 6 times or more.
I just failed to jump because of lag. I just walked right off it.
Yeah, it's rough.
Luckily it wasn't a critical jump, so I didn't fall too far. But it's still annoying when it happens.
Here you see a dog operating a forklift, which is we
Very
can show
safe.
you all the proper licensing after the run.
I was gonna say, the dog is forklift certified. I promise.
Oop, I accidentally tried to save. This is not a speedrun anymore.
These puppies are also capable of operating a tractor as well.
Yes.
These are really talented.
Multi-talented. So yeah, on Cruella 1, you have to hit her with watermelons this time. And if she's moving around, it's really hard to hit her. You have to like hit her at a 45-degree angle. Also, that's the unskippable cutscene that just played.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
shorter if you're oddball. But that fight was pretty nice to you, actually.
Yeah, she can go all over the place and just like make it really
Oh, yeah.
hard for you to hit her.
Like, just randomly change directions, and just sometimes the hitbox just don't even work.
Yeah.
You can get basically a perfect hit, and it just doesn't register.
There's also some, yeah, where she just like sits under the bridge.
Oh, it waited for me. That's not supposed to happen. These planes can get stuck on the ground. Any of the flying enemies actually sometimes get stuck on the ground and then just don't move anymore. But yeah, so Cruella 2 is also watermelons. You can tell that Cruella definitely hates fruit.
See how bad my watermelon luck is?
It's gonna be perfect.
Oh, nope. She's already not cooperating
She's under
with
the
me.
bridge, so you just have to sit there.
Oh no.
It's having the worst luck. Okay, well at least I got a hit registered, so
She goes faster and faster the more times you hit her too.
yeah. Alright. That was not great, but I guess it could have been worse.
That's what you like to hear. Could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
I think I've seen it where she just sits under the bridge and like you just cannot hit her.
Yeah.
And you just kind of sit there and cry for a little bit.
Well, because the absolute worst RNG you could get is that she goes under the bridge and then turns around,
Yeah.
like when she's almost out from under the bridge. And then you just have to wait for her to come back all the other way.
Nice job.
But now we're in Countryside, and this is Stonehenge. And we're gonna leave it intact, but if you want to play this game, you can destroy it. And if you want to play 100%, you have to destroy it.
It's also a very funny cutscene if you do. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't even understand how it actually topples over. I watched it again, I think it was yesterday, and it is... Wait, this actually doesn't make any sense.
You know, magic.
If you have any personal
puppies-
grievances with Stonehenge, this is the game for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. No.
What was I gonna say? No, I don't want to do that. Like something related. Oh, if the puppies can like drive heavy machinery and stuff, though, they probably have like some kind of powers of telekinesis or something. So maybe the puppies just like with their minds decided Stonehenge was going to fall.
That might be it.
I feel like you can come up with some very like strange lore for this game based on all this.
This game's lore is already really strange.
It is.
And so this is for 102 Dalmatians, which is the live action movie. But like a lot of the locations and stuff come from 101 Dalmatians, so they were probably originally gonna make it for that, or else they like were told they were going to make a 102 Dalmatians movie and then weren't told any details about the movie.
Maybe. Because it really doesn't tie into the movie at all. Like, the plot of the movie is like, the Cruella is like rehabilitated, but then for some reason the Big Ben makes her go back to being evil. None of that is in this. Not even a single thing. The only thing is the characters.
Congrats on not forgetting Silo Dog.
I didn't get the Silo Dog.
Oh, you didn't get the Silo Dog yet? Oh,
I can still forget Silo Dog, don't worry.
I thought that was the windmill. That's my I apologize to the fans. Got too excited.
But this is the second task-based level. We're on Barnyard. And it's Priscilla's birthday, but the farmer is really lazy, and so he doesn't do anything. So we're gonna help her out with some of the chores that need doing.
You see, you do a death warp here, right?
Yeah. Oh, I got him at the same time. Holy cow.
There you go. So yeah, Passer got the dog and died at the same time, which saved time because it just skips the dog cutscene and just warps you back after dying.
I don't think I've ever pulled that one off. So it's really good. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a while. This is for you guys, chat. That was just for you because I don't think I've done that in a month.
Watch me get the chicken stuck in Zen. Because that is also a thing that can happen. They can just refuse and get stuck.
Yes, they can like get stuck on the walls. That was a small out of bounds there with the haystack. You actually are on top of it for a second. But this is the silo. This is Silo Dog. This is what you have all been waiting for. Actually, so the lore behind this task is that the farmer left his tools at the bottom of the silo, so we have to empty out all the grain, which makes total sense. And then there's also a puppy down there.
Poor puppy.
A steel, powerful box right there that doesn't get crushed.
But somehow us rolling into it breaks it.
Yeah, really quick, I do want to respond to the allegations. I am not an inside operative trying to make the runners forget Silo Dog by making them think they already got it. I just want to make that very clear.
You sure?
Sure.
I promise.
Which game audio is playing on stream right now, if you could tell? If it's English or Norwegian?
It is Tali's, I believe.
Was it? Okay.
All right, I could be wrong.
I could show the cutscene, the tractor cutscene. You guys want to see how a dog drives a tractor?
Give Cruella a bite for me.
It is a really good cutscene.
But before that, here's a little out of bounds.
Actually, I think it is Passeres. I'm not sure. It's hard to. I'm listening to like 4 of the game at the same time.
Alright, so this is how a dog drives a tractor. But the voice lines are also really interesting here.
Yeah, they're definitely more adult than my child brain could understand back when I was like this.
That's so sad.
You better not be drinking this earlier, or so help me, I'm moving back to my mother's house, and you don't want to see that.
Never mind.
You better not be drinking this earlier. Anyway, this is how dogs drive tractors. They don't even have to put their paws on the wheel. This is why they have to be telekinetic.
Yeah. It makes sense, honestly.
Okay, and it's Priscilla's birthday. We could give her a birthday gift, but that's not fast, sorry.
Bye, Priscilla.
They make it necessary for you to give Fluffy a donut, but they make it optional for you to give Priscilla her birthday gift.
That is true, yeah. I guess Priscilla's just too nice, so she doesn't actually force her to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas Fluffy is just like, no, you are bringing me that donut. This is not a discussion to be had.
Fluffy knows what he wants. Poor Priscilla.
So now
feel bad for
Passeres.
Priscilla.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Passeres an ice festival now, which luckily this is all puppies because in all levels, it's a very torturous level.
There's this trick called penguin clip where you use that penguin toy. It's like this one here, but it's the one at the beginning, you use it to clip through the wall, because this level is actually a circle. If you clip through that wall, the exit's on the other side. The problem is that penguin clip has like a 3 to 5 frame window depending on your setup, and so it's just torture to come to that like 15 minutes into a run.
Oh yeah,
It is the killer of many runs.
Nice job.
it really is. I'm so glad we don't have to do that in this
Yeah,
category.
me too. It's like, ooh, this isn't all levels. I don't have to worry about so many things. And then I wonder sometimes why I ever submit that category to marathons. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? But it is fun. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, as Patrick calls it, not nice festival.
Yeah, that didn't
Oh, I
originate
like
with
that.
me.
Oh, really?
It might have been Sugar Frosted. It also might have been Evan.
I can take credit for it just to make it easy.
Oh, sorry, it was Bandit Yoshi. You're right.
You're welcome.
Good job. I like it. It's really good.
Thank you.
So one of my favorite things about Ice Festival is just how little these platforms matter. Like
Yeah.
there's several sections with like the ice block sliding back and forth, and they clearly set you up to think that, oh, I need to jump on these to make progress. Sometimes, most times, just optional to do so.
Yeah, you also don't need to hit the flags in the slalom. You need to hit
Yeah.
none of them to progress.
Yeah, you just need to get to the bottom of the hill. That's all you need.
If you get all of them, you can do it again, and it's harder. That's your prize. You probably get a sticker for it. I don't actually remember.
You probably do get a sticker for it.
Is it part of 100%?
You have to do it. Oh yeah, you do have to do it in 100% because you have to get all the stickers and also all the bones that are on that track.
Yeah.
It's torture. Oops, I tried to save again. I apologize to everybody. That was not fast.
A big problem in... Oh, so you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say that of all levels, they decided that Ice Festival should be the demo that they released. They released a demo for PS1, and it was Ice Festival.
Yup.
But it
It's
actually
also fun,
has...
it's just not at all coherent to like the actual
No.
story. It's just like the 90s token ice festival or ice level. Like we all gotta have an ice level. It doesn't
Yep.
really make sense.
It's between two levels that are very like summery too, with like lots of green and stuff.
Yeah.
But the physics and stuff are actually different in the demo. You can't skip all the platforms, I don't think. So
No,
they
the,
did something that makes it more broken when they actually
Yeah.
released it.
the voice lines are different too, right?
A lot of the voice lines are placeholders. Like, it's like they just went to some guy in the office and said, hey, say these things. So, like, it's so unenthusiastic. It's like, you're a super puppy.
Those are my favorite kind of voice lines, honestly. That and like Microsoft Sam voice lines.
Yeah.
Like, not
But
to
the-
undervalue like voice actors here, but like it is incredibly funny when it's
Uh-huh.
bad.
We should do a run of just the demo. 100% of the demo level.
That would be funny.
Because the puppies actually, this is where you can also tell that it might have been like 101 Dalmatians at first, because in the demo, Domino is named Patches, I believe.
I
Which,
didn't know that actually.
that's from 101 Dalmatians, definitely not 102 Dalmatians.
You're a super puppy.
Add that to the theory that they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
But still, this is like, maybe it sounds like we're ragging on the game sometimes, but this is actually genuinely, I'd say, one of the better licensed games out there. Like,
Yeah,
this
it's a
is
really
genuinely
solid game.
fun game.
You're the greatest.
This was one of my favorite games as a kid.
Me too.
Which is
If
why
you
I'm
want
always
to add
good.
on to the conspiracy that they were confused when making this, is what the runners like to talk about all the time is that there's 16 levels, 6 dogs each. That's 96 dogs. The game's called 102 Dalmatians. There's the 2 playable characters. I guess there's the 2 on the screen in the main menu.
No, we don't count those. That's
Wait,
cheating.
you don't
We don't
count
count
those? That's
those.
cheating?
No, we
Okay.
count the
There's
two
the parents.
parents. Yeah.
Oh, the 2 parents, that's right, okay.
Yeah.
So,
So, but that
it's-
still only adds up to 100. So where are the last 2? Maybe those 2 are the ones on the screen.
I don't believe it
Maybe
though.
we
They've
just solved it.
They've just been sitting there doing nothing while we're out like rescuing everybody. What are they
Right?
doing?
Could have lent
I
a
always
hand.
thought they were the main characters, but I don't think they have the same spots.
No,
right?
they're both spotted, and so Oddball
Yeah.
shouldn't have any spots at all.
So if anyone wants to solve that conspiracy, it would remove a lot of weight from all of our shoulders.
Well, I think we just did, didn't we?
Maybe. I unintentionally, I wanted to create like suspense, and I did such a terrible job, and I apologize.
You just solved our mystery instead.
I told Faster I would not explain that, and then when I did, I messed it up. So.
So you're never going to be invited back for comic day. You were trying to do this.
It's okay, you did your best.
Yeah, so now in Cruella 3 we've got pumpkins, because again, she doesn't like fruit. She hates fruit for some reason.
Right now you had her stuck in a lock there on the left side, so she just got repeatedly hit by pumpkins and just died.
You're not supposed to be able to hit her through the wall, but when she turns sideways, her hitbox goes through a little bit for some reason, and you can hit her.
It was very much in handy for this boss fight, because it's kind of annoying to do otherwise.
Yeah, because she'll just run back and forth otherwise, and you have to like try to hit her in the middle, which is a pain.
I've always wondered, I'm gonna ask this question now, for Spooky Forest, why are there like military people with missiles? I've always
That's
wondered
one of
that.
Corella's toys!
That's one of the toys, yeah.
This
Just
is
the most
why...
random thing
Oh my
to
god,
put
did
in
I
the
actually
forest,
get the
though.
Cruella manip? Holy... I've never gotten this
That's
in a
awesome.
marathon before.
I didn't even fully get it, like I messed it up.
I actually got it, holy crap.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm catching up.
It's the marathon luck.
It is, but unfortunately I might have now just spent all of it and have nothing left for the actual trickier parts coming up, so we'll see if that actually paid off or not.
That's
You
okay,
guys
they
are
just
actually not that far off right
loading
now.
zone. Yeah, I just accidentally fell back into a Spooky Forest loading zone, so...
Oh no. Zugate, you're just doing this on purpose to try and make
Oh.
me look better. I appreciate it.
I hate these logs. But yeah, every enemy is a toy, so the army men are Cruella toys, and for some reason she decided that it would be a really good idea to have a toy that shoots missiles at you.
This is what every
And then-
kid wants, right?
Wonders why her toys didn't sell well.
I would like to see a real world application for Toastbot though. That'd be kind of sick.
I want to buy a toast bot. Like, it follows you into your room and shoots toast at you. I feel like people would buy it.
Totally would.
I would. Not those like teddy bears that shoot water guns at you though. Those are
And then
scary.
they say, "You're my best friend," and then they try to kill you.
Also, since I see the question being asked in chat, someone asked about which version I'm playing, so I'll mention it again, that I am on the Norwegian version, which is the second fastest version of the game. Actual fastest one is Danish, which is a whole second faster in Norwegian. But we thought it would be fun to kind of showcase some of the differences between English, which is not fastest, but, you know, very widely available, and this, which isn't. But again, if you're planning on running this, I do believe we have a Scandinavian ROM for the emulator course, so that is definitely something you can take advantage of if you do want to run this.
It's also super easy to set up the PC versions, like you don't even have to worry about
True.
having a console or anything.
Or like
finding
having
the
to
right-
find a copy, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
Because they're not like they're surprisingly not easy to find.
Yeah. They're not like overpriced, it's just not commonly found.
Yeah.
Most of them are in people's parents' basements, just collecting dust, probably.
That's where my copy was when I decided to start speedrunning it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go dig through the stuff in my parents' basement. Let's see what's here. And I did find it. I had PC version as a kid.
I haven't found my copy, unfortunately, the original one from when I
No.
was a child, but I did rebuy it, so now I have technically I guess a Swedish copy. The cover art is in Swedish, but
Ha.
it gives you 3 language options. It has Danish as a default, or you can also select Swedish or Norwegian on the same version.
I have the The box that I have is the Italian version for Dreamcast, but actually it's just whatever language your console is, so all you have to do is, well, you have to change your console to another language. I hope you can understand what's going on, but there's no, I did think that was interesting because the other versions you select what language, but Dreamcast actually just checks.
That is interesting. So now that we're on Hedge Maze, we did talk about briefly using the checkpoints to our advantage earlier, so we are... Oh no! So we are going to be doing that. I'm actually going to be setting up for it right here. Pastor might have already done it, but I'm going to make sure to grab Vagrevol right there. Because I'm going to go take a death, and then I will want to respawn back here so I don't have to actually do the backtracking.
Yep.
Hope you like
I'm
that
trying not to
spice
die
of,
too early before I'm supposed to.
You're the greatest.
Yeah, that's a
Alright.
challenge, isn't it?
Now I'm allowed to. We're good. You also can't hit any of the other checkpoints because otherwise it'll mess it up and you'll end up in the wrong spot because it's just whatever checkpoint's most recent.
So like here, I need to specifically hold this edge here so I don't accidentally get too close to him and pick up this other checkpoint because then the setup is broken and I won't be able to do what I wanted to do and go fast.
I knew you'd rescue me.
I see some new lore in chat, so since there's 2 playable characters, what we're playing is Oddball and rescuing all the puppies. Domino rescues 2. That's where the other 2 are.
I like it.
We'll
Domino's
take it.
not pulling his weight. And here you see fantastic puzzle.
Alright, I'm just not going to talk about what just happened.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
What happened?
I totally forgot to manage my lives, so I just
Oh,
took a game
no.
over.
Oh, yikes.
Oh, does it save your puppies? Or
Nope.
do you have to... Oh no.
I need to redo all of the puppies.
Oh no.
Alright, so Tali is helping all you guys. This level is very confusing. It's very much a maze. We are going to take a second look. If you did not have your notepads out, please take them out now.
Start taking notes.
Totally intentional.
Very much
Maybe.
so. The puzzle you just saw Pass Ray do, that one, yeah, RNG was like okay there, right?
I was not paying attention. That's a really
No,
good
okay.
question.
The puzzle's different every time, so sometimes you just get a really long puzzle, sometimes you get a really fast one.
The theoretical minimum is 9 turns because there's 9 pieces. The theoretical maximum is 27 because the max you can turn each one is 3 times. I've never seen it only take 9. That would be like a dream. I think I've gotten like 25 before, which is pretty rough.
Sure feels good to be
It's even more brutal in the shorter categories too.
Yeah, because it matters a lot more.
You're my hero.
So right now, you're in Cruella, or Pass Ray's in Cruella's mansion, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess this was her backyard or something in the hedge maze, so...
Apparently what she keeps in the backyard, as you do.
Makes sense with her, you know, portrait being the way to get in, I guess.
It's highly inconvenient to solve a puzzle to get in your own house.
To be fair, it doesn't look like it opens a normal door, so I can only assume it's like a secret back door. of
Yeah,
sorts.
true.
But how do
How
we
does
know
Cruella
that?
usually get to her house?
It's not a very
There's a front
hard
door.
thing to figure out. You think you
True.
want to make it more confusing.
Oh, man. Am I hungry or what?
This puppy is on top of a boiler, which means we're also on top of a boiler, which means that these puppies are flame-proof. These puppies are fall-proof. They don't take any damage when you fall. And they can also drive any kind of vehicle you throw at them, so... I don't know, I think...
One of the Save the Puppies dialogue lines is "You're a super puppy." I don't think they're kidding.
We are super puppies.
Alright, there we go. I took the death with lives left over this time, so now that's how
Yay.
it's supposed to look like, and this is totally the first try.
First try.
Which way to the bathroom?
And by the last level, you are in Cruella's toy factory. You've made the journey to where she makes all the toys. I'm gonna try to get a boost here on these pressures. That's why I'm like jumping against them instead of going on. But you can see from all of this equipment that maybe Cruella isn't the greatest at making toys either, because like, what do all these things do? What's their purpose
I'm having
besides
a really rough
looking
puzzle
scary?
on top of everything else.
Oh no!
Like almost all of these need to be flipped 3 times. What is this?
The game says no.
The
That
game
was
just
rough.
really
oh my
doesn't
God.
like me today.
It's really bright out here.
I like 1 that needed to be flipped once, and 2 that needed to be flipped twice. The rest needed 3 times. What is this?
That's awful.
I told you I spent all of my marathon luck earlier with the Cruella minute. I'm just none left. Sorry, all out.
Oh, I almost got crushed by that box. You can clip into the side of things sometimes and just take damage just because. Oh,
This
okay.
is the last level before the final boss stage too.
It is also incredibly much of a run killer. I know I mentioned it briefly during Big Ben earlier. This is Toy Factory is like the other big run killer. And if you have a PB, if you're on a PB pace, if you're on a world record pace, you're on probably just about to die in Toy Factory. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And if it's going well, the last jump at the end is enough to turn the tide, which you'll see
Made
very
it that
soon.
far.
Not to mention, I came dangerously close to soft locking, like in a way that's not even your fault when it happens. You can just like fall through the floor in a certain spot.
Yeah.
Sure feels good to be out of there.
Okay. Oh, I hate the perspective shifting that happens in this level.
Yeah, those can be really rough.
So that's a good dog pun.
You're right.
I say that so much. Like every time, because my dogs like sleep a lot, as you know, dogs do. So I usually like to say that they've had a rough day. Every day, they've just had a rough day.
My paws on Cruella. I'm
And so Passway is about to go for the very tricky jump here
Annoying.
after. So she's gonna go back up this air vent, and then the last jump off these gears is very, very, very tight.
I'm just now getting out of Cruella Manor, so don't worry, I'm not catching up anytime soon.
You're not
My
supposed to be
game
able to
over
make.
did not help.
You're not
We
supposed to be
were
able to make
close.
this jump at all. It's okay. I'll miss this jump a few times.
Yeah, this is not the intended way of getting across.
You're supposed to have to like move all the gears and stuff.
But a second try.
That is really
No,
good
first
still.
try.
First
I mean,
try,
first
yes,
try.
of course.
Sorry, I keep messing everything up. My bad. So the last boss stage here. Now we are operating some sort of weapon.
We have this
And
like
now we're
really
actually not
intense.
using fruit.
We have this intense laser, but you can't even hit Cruella with it. Like, I'll show you on the next one if I have a chance. You hit her machinery, you can't hit her. It doesn't do anything.
In order to finish this, there's like 3 waves. Or is it 2 waves? of
3.
This
different
is
guys.
really bad
3
RNG.
waves, right? Yeah.
This is really bad RNG.
That one took a very long time to show up.
I try and play my Toy Factory super careful now because I don't want my run to die for real.
I'm trying to do this in the same number of cycles so that I know where the last one appears, but if the RNG is bad enough, sometimes I just can't. But we got it, okay.
So this is the last wave of stuff that she needs to shoot. She's gonna shoot these weird
Or
spiky orb
protect.
things.
Time ends on 3 out of 3 in the top or left corner of the passenger side, so.
So time would end for her
Time!
now.
And I'm still in Toy Factory.
And this is the super glue.
No!
You're not far behind. Toy Factory's right before it.
Well, I just
doing
missed
great.
my box, so. Because I was on it and then I managed to fall off.
Everybody just gets to enjoy more of
no.
the cutscene on my screen. Let's save it. Should be 73% unless I missed a dog. Let's find out. Oh, it's 73%. Still doesn't mean I didn't miss a dog, but I probably didn't miss a dog. Maybe that's why I'm ahead.
I'm gonna take
But this is
health
the
just for
super glue.
safety.
This is the super glue. This is what is supposed to turn everything into toys. This was her plan all along.
Have it, Domino.
Yeah, so like what we talked about at the start, I'm not entirely sure why she thought this was a good idea and this was gonna make sure that her toys, or whatever she was gonna call them, were successful, because I mean, let's be real. Sure, everyone loves dogs, but you wouldn't love a dog covered in super glue.
No. You'll also notice that in Toy Factory, if you look at Tali's screen, there's Fluffy. Fluffy's there. And
he body blocked me.
what we didn't talk about in any of the other levels are, like, every single level has an animal to help you. And some of them appear more than once. So Fluffy was at the museum, and now he's in the Toy Factory. And his explanation for how he got to the Toy Factory is that he was captured by Cruella's toys and squeezed out through the crate's air hole. But I don't know, there's something suspicious about that story.
I forgot he had that story.
That's the supposed explanation for why he's in the Toy Factory. I don't know. I think he works for Cruella.
I think. Oh no, I missed. Oops.
This air vent too can be super tricky because it's also possible to get
stuck in there so many
it.
times.
Yeah.
I've been stuck in there so many times during practice.
So this is a super gloop. On my screen, you can see now, this is what it looks like when somebody has been super glooped.
Yeah, would you guys want to buy that? Would you guys enjoy that toy?
Wait until the full body shot. There we
There it
go. That's a quality toy right there.
Alright, well I got all of my puppies, so now let's just
All
see
the
if I can
puppies
make
have
it
been
into the boss
rescued.
fight.
We've both rescued 96
If
puppies,
not, we'll
not
just
102.
pretend that this was a legacy run, and then because in the legacy runs, the time would end on collecting the last puppies, so...
Yeah, the
All
rules...
I'm already done.
When it started as a meme run, and then, like, to transform it into a real run, it was like, okay, well, I guess you should probably beat the game, huh?
Yeah. Oh god, why am I struggling so much with this event today?
It loves you.
At least
It
I
wants you
haven't
to
gotten stuck
spend
in
more
it.
time inside.
Alright, I'm just gonna give myself lots of leeway this time.
This is it.
Nope. I
No!
noticed I was
Good.
too slow. No, I was too slow. I didn't get quite the straight line that I wanted. Okay, this jump, like, when we say this is difficult, we really do mean it is
It's
difficult.
the hardest jump in... Like, you just have to sit
There
there
we go.
practice.
There
Yay!
we go.
You just have to practice it over and over again. It's crazy.
Yep. And I know not everyone does it. I don't think you do it, Pastor, but I personally use a jump buffer there because this game has a tech where if you just hold the jump button, Oddball, or if you play as Domino, will just automatically just jump off whenever you walk up ledge, which is nice.
Which we didn't know until embarrassingly recently. Like,
Yeah.
this game has been speedrun since like 2015 or 2016, and I think it was in like 2019 or 2020, early 2020 maybe, when somebody was like, you know that you can buffer jumps, right? And we're like, we were doing this the hard way.
Yeah, because I remember you told me about the jump buffer, and I was just like, wait, you can?
What is this?
What
Making
you
the
do?
game easier.
Yeah, right? These robots are so frustrating.
They give us this powerful laser, and then they're like, nah, just hit her machinery with it. Don't hit her.
Alright, so now I'm coming up on time as well. I'm gonna wait here for the second ball to show. There we go.
I don't know what the purpose of any
Right.
of this machinery is, but
Once we get
You
3
know.
out of 3, it's gonna be time for me as well, so... Time.
time! Yay! We saved all the puppies!
We saved all the
We
puppies,
defeated
we made
Cruella.
it to the end! We got to show off some different strats, some different version differences, and...
Yeah.
Yeah, come run 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue. It is very fun. You don't have to make
It's a ton
save
of
all the
fun.
puppies. You can run past them. But
Yeah, you
why
can
would
skip
That's
all the
cool.
puppies. If saving puppies isn't your thing, you can skip that.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for having us. Thank you all of chat for watching us save all the puppies. Oh, and now my credits just got to the end. It's perfect.
There you
Nice.
go.
The end.
And if
Yeah,
you
if you
do
want
want
to
to
see
speedrun
more
this
of
game, there's
yeah, go
a
ahead.
load of materials for learning this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, speedrunning.com has a lot of resources, and I know Pastor and I think Avuka as well set up a lot of guides on Speedrun Academy. So,
Yeah.
and of course,
Yeah.
the Discord, we're happy to help you out as well. If you need more of a personal touch or like need help understanding a trick, we are totally there to help you.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you want to see
Um,
more of me, I do speedruns over on Tainted Tally on my channel. I don't run this game as much anymore, but I do generally do retro or horror games. Resident Evil 6 has been one of my big ones recently, so if you like that, you should come follow my channel.
And I do speedruns of this and other retro games. And Stray, I've been doing a lot recently. I realized I've speedrun a lot of animal games, kind of unintentionally. But if that's your thing, you can find me at twitch.tv/passeray. And Bandit Yoshi, first of all, thank you for commentating. But
Yes,
where can
thank
we find
you.
you?
I hope my mediocre job was good enough.
It was great.
But if you want more of my terrible voice, I speedrun pretty much every day. Kingdom Hearts 1. So if you also need more Disney-based content, I am there for you.
And if you want to catch another race between me and Tally, we're actually going to be running Casper's Scare School, a race of that
yeah.
game at Frame
On Frost
Fatales.
Fatales.
Yeah.
So
So
tune
that's
in for
gonna
that
be
too.
that's gonna be fun. That game is special.
Oh yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for that incredible race. That was loads of fun. I'm glad that we were able to collect all of the puppies. I had tons of fun over here too.
We got them all.
All right. Yeah, we got them all. That's amazing. And so that's a perfect segue, actually, just to remind everyone as well that Frost Fatales is coming up in just over a month. So make sure to check out gamesdonequick.com/framefatales for more info. And it's sure to be a super exciting event. The schedule is out. There's a list of incredible games. You will definitely want to see what's going on there. It'll be great. Well, that is the end of another episode of She Is Speed here, where we had Okami and 102 Dalmatians. We'll be heading out for the evening, but make sure to stick around so we can share that love with a nice little raid and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this lovely evening/time zone wherever you're joining us from. And we'll see you next time for more She Is Speed. My name is Lana Roos, and thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.